All right. All right. What's up, folks? Greetings. Happy Monday. I am quite excited. Are returning once again to James Bond, to From Russia with Love. A lot of prepositions there. That's the word right? Whatever. Words. English. I'm trying my best. Hopefully we're going to finish the game tonight. We'll see. I was trying to start a little bit early. Not being that early, but I'm going to try, I guess, to not, I don't know, talk about other stuff for 45 minutes, but rather get into the game. We'll see how that goes. But we'll spend a few minutes saying hello, hi, good evening, welcome, and all of that. Hello, hi, good evening, and all of that to Dark Rift, to Mr. Radon, as well as lurkers in chat, VOD viewers, and everybody else. People are having a decent Monday. I am personally finding myself a emotional roller coaster of sorts. Well, not so much emotional as, well, I mean, I guess that too, but more of a mental one, just in general. It's the season to get gloomy and depressed. But I'm trying to do what I can to stave it off. Remaining active, creative, enjoying stuff that I do. Finding motivation to stuff. Yeah, you know, mostly working out all right so far. But it's just, you know, it comes with the territory of this half of the year. And it kind of is what it is. Up. Vendel. Yeah, I know 7 o'clock laser beams, sadly. I'm looking forward to the return of 7 o'clock laser beams. That is the harbinger of summer. I need an energy drink, so I'm just watching gameplay videos of the latest Konami baseball game instead of being productive. I mean, hey, that sounds like a worthwhile Monday kind of endeavor. No judgment there, for sure. Yeah, but it's last week was so weird. Like, hey,
unspeakable horror awaits you.
Owen just subscribed. Sup? Greetings. 7 months of unspeakable horrors. Thank you very much indeed. Appreciate that. Instant 250 Q credits towards the daily objective. We'll check in on that in a brief moment. But thank you again, Ramon. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm still kind of finding my way back into the groove after last week being real weird. I had some, like, I thought it was just some complications due to medication I'm taking, which is like every now and again I just have like nausea kind of flaring up, but it was kind of it was a little more persistent than I was ready for, and then it was sort of compounded by feeling real shit in general, and then I thought I was like physically fine, but just mentally a bit out of it. And it turns out that I wasn't really feeling as physically fine as I thought I did, and it was just, I don't know, went real up and down all last week. And I was really stressing out because I had a work thing on Friday, which I don't normally work Fridays, but there was a particular thing I had to attend, and I had to prepare some stuff for, which I then did not had time to do because I was sick all week, and it was, I don't know, it was a big stress thing. But it went well, and I probably already went over this on Saturday. I can't remember, but felt really good to have all that over and done with. But even though things are kind of smoothing out, it's still just that kind of it's typical for this time of year, and it'll probably stay this way for a while. But seasonal depression doesn't mean that you're walking around sad all the time. It's just, you know, you become, or in my case anyway, a little more easily susceptible to things that kind of rattle you and kind of get you out of your groove, I suppose. So sometimes it can just take a small thing to get really upset about something and just kind of lose focus and motivation to do stuff and everything, and it becomes a little bit of a hassle to just feel like you're, you know, just a little fragile and vulnerable in a way that can it just means like everything is really goes up and down. Like sometimes everything's great and then pretty quickly things can turn around, and that's, I don't know, it can be frustrating. But in any case, even though I'm feeling perfectly fine now, it's kind of looming in the back of your mind, you know, that stuff can kind of turn sour pretty quickly, and it's just a bad kind of feedback loop where having that in the back of your mind kind of then in turn makes you think about it, make you cognizant of it and think of it, and that like makes things worse. But I don't know, if you like me tend to struggle a bit with you know, mental stability and what have you, just well-being this time of year, hopefully tune into this for a few hours, watch me play James Bond video games, hang out with chat, and just have a good time. If I'm in any capacity, any kind of entertainment or relief or engagement or anything that helps you shift your focus away from all kinds of things you might not want to focus on, then hey, I'm happy to be of service. Learn some good skills for getting out of that feedback loop if you want to discuss. I appreciate that. I'm happy to hear. Frankly, I would love to get in touch with you for totally unrelated reasons, because I would very much like to. This is just a very broad thing, but because since you happen to mention getting in touch right on, I've had the thought for a long time, and it's been a while since I acted on it in any capacity whatsoever. But I would very much like to do more collaborative stuff on Twitch. And you're definitely one of the people I would love to, I don't know, at the very least, bounce some ideas to come up with what might be doable and fun. So I would very much like to pick your brain about that at some point, if nothing else. I don't think I have, in particular, any kind of questions or things I'd be immediately concerned with discussing in terms of mental health advice or anything. But who knows? Maybe it comes up, maybe not. But yeah, like it hasn't really been, I don't know, this whole fall has been very weird. Like ever since my work situation got a bit funky earlier this year with like changing hours and everything, like it's been fine, like work's been great, but the status quo has kind of been thrown around a little bit, which tends to have a little bit of a snowball effect on a lot of other things, and then things have changed in totally other ways, and it's the last few months in particular have just not been like super stable. So I've kind of taken things one step at a time, and one thing is kind of getting back to doing Games Bond, for example. Viewer's choice fighting game stuff definitely returning at some point or another, but it's been nice to not have too many of those things that kind of just feel like obligations. I already have obligations in terms of work and what have you, so I don't need my hobbies to turn into obligations as well. And it just, you know, I'm the kind of person who gets very comfortable with patterns and routines and stuff I'm used to. So anything that sort of goes outside the boundaries of that tends to be, no matter what it is, even if it's fun, it's extra effort, if in some way or another. And coordinating, come up with sort of collaborative projects is something that I think, like the few times I've been involved in anything like that, it's always like super rewarding and it's fun. And I feel like I have a lot of friends on Twitch that I don't get to interact with as directly as I think I would like, and the few times I do get to interact with people more directly, it always feels rewarding and fun. So who knows what might be possible before the end of this year, but I think for sure next year that would be one of those things that I would kind of put on some kind of, you know, I hate the idea of New Year's resolutions. I think that's stupid, but just in terms of like goals for next year, coming up with more stuff like that. But on a related note, Goaty, of course, is currently, well, I was going to say currently organizing. He is an event he has been and is running is currently ongoing, which is Gamer of the Year 2024. He did this last year and is doing it again this year. And I think I've rated people streaming that stuff, but it's like just a long series of challenges in a bunch of games, and people complete them and like compete for the highest number of challenge completions over the month of November. And I think it's just a super cool endeavor. And even though streaming that isn't necessarily like a direct interaction with other people, it's still like a community thing. And I think that's an awesome initiative. I didn't feel like I was able to be part of it last year because I had a bunch of other stuff going on. But I've made it a kind of commitment to myself, if nothing else, that I want to participate this year. So right now I'm focusing on finishing From Russia with Love, but as soon as we're done with that game, I want to immediately jump into doing Gamer of the Year stuff. Probably not committing to do it seriously for the rest of the month or anything, but I want to at least have been part of it. So even something like that, I think is a cool, fun thing to just like I want to support the initiative of coming up with this kind of thing that you know, can help people discover other streamers and discover fun, cool games for that matter. But you know, me and Goaty are also competing in Tondeus, the blind race speed, well, not speedrun exactly, but just blind game competition stuff, and we're actually weirdly kind of doing pretty well. And it's been super fun to do that, but that's another thing where like I would like to have been more active in that and doing commentary and stuff like I did last time we were part of that last year. But it's just like not been great timing for it for me right now. It's been hard to commit like any extra time or effort to that kind of thing. But I love doing that. So like when I have the sort of mental capacity for it and I have time and everything, I would definitely really want to come up with more, even if it's a one-time thing or whatever form it might take, like collaborative streamer things of some form or another. So yeah, I'll you know, probably I would be feeling pretty inclined to try to have a little bit more of a clean slate before I even want to like bring up or discuss that kind of thing. But there's definitely a handful of people I would love to get in touch with, just kind of again bounce some ideas around and see what might come of it. And for sure, Radon, you're one of them. So I'll get in touch about that kind of stuff at some point or another. Anyway, that's just a long side tangent. What's up, Swordfan? Good evening. But yeah, the other thing that kind of is preoccupying most of my mental facilities currently, you know, aside from just staying afloat and keeping on and all that, is game development. Been talking about this a whole bunch already, but I was very satisfied with the work I was able to put into World of Jiggy recently, and I have been, of course, as has been discussed, keeping my little notebook with ideas for you know, additional concepts and stuff that I want to make, and I'm deliberately keeping this a little vague so you can't really lean too much. Obviously, there's already been a lot of ideas and stuff, but it's fun to feel that like creative energy and just having ideas and want to make stuff. But it's more actively transitioned into not necessarily wanting to do that immediately, because in the short term, I am more interested in actually making a game. On eBay the Year 28. Well, I mean, I've got this one too. There's not a lot in this stuff yet, but it's just I wanted to have these on hand. I was feeling very inspired by some video I watched where someone had a much fancier, better notebook than these, but these will have to do. To just have on hand to just scribble down notes and ideas as they come to you for future reference. I already do a bunch of that on like on my phone or in a bunch of Google Docs and stuff, but it has a certain degree of immediacy, but also kind of intimacy, and I don't know, there's something to a physical artifact that I quite value. But yeah, I have a game concept in mind for something that I think would be. I feel like I know that I can make it. It's not outside the scope of what I'm capable of doing. It does involve a few things I don't currently know exactly how to do, but given the trajectory of what working with World of Jiggy has been like, and all the stuff that I know now that I didn't know when I started, and how relatively straightforward it has been to learn those things, I feel completely confident that I will be able to learn the things I need to learn in order to put something together that, you know, more or less lines up with the vision I have for what that would be. And it's pretty exciting just to learn like the specific things that I know that I have to learn more about that I don't have any knowledge on currently, is kind of like global persistence of stuff. Like, let's say score, for example. I don't know how to do that in Unreal now, where you can have like, I can easily make a level where you do something and you get score, but I don't know how to make it so that score is like a global thing that is stored in a way that remains after you leave that level and go to another level and that kind of thing. I'm sure it's pretty simple and straightforward. I just haven't had the need to look up how to do it yet. There's also stuff like actually publishing things to make it playable and runnable on not just other systems, but also like World of Jiggy as it exists has a very peculiar, very specific way that it's run that I have sort of designed with the specific purpose of how I capture it in OBS for my stream. It doesn't need to do anything else. But that doesn't really, like, the way I have it for that doesn't make any kind of sense for something I would actually release and have people want to play, or be able to play even. The game concept that I have in mind is also something that I think would work pretty well on mobile. So I'm quite curious to try and see if I can release, like, do a Windows version and an Android version, because as far as I'm aware, it should be extremely straightforward. So there's a couple of things like that that I would be excited to learn, but mostly just taking what I've learned and polish things up and make something only very slightly more elaborate than what I've built already, in order to not like have the scope creep just make it completely unmanageable. But that's honestly been like the most exciting thing about completing the Deathblow minigame for the stream. Getting to experience that feeling of satisfaction of completing something and realizing that it doesn't even matter how moronically simple something is. Like, even before it was done, when I first started implementing animation and stuff, where it's like I could press a key to make the character throw a projectile and hit a dummy, like, it was already fun. And it's like, dude, this is sick. Like, making stuff is fun, and having made stuff that exists and is completed is even more fun. So I think that helped me a lot in overcoming like that weird mental block of setting a bar for yourself that you feel pressure to clear in order to come up with something that feels worthwhile to make in the first place. Because that's going to just stop you dead in your tracks. Like, you're not going to get anything done if you have this notion of it needs to be X amount of cool for me to even bother. Like, especially as you're learning something new. Like, you're not helping yourself by thinking that way. But it can be really hard. Like, I'm fully aware of that on a cognitive sort of intellectual plane. But emotionally, like, you still want to do all, like, have all this cool stuff that you want to make, even if you have no idea how. But having completed what I have completed, I feel I have an easier time setting that kind of pride side, or whatever you want to call it, of like worrying about, like, basically I feel confident that even if I make something mega basic, I will be able to make it interesting and fun. And even if no one else thinks it's fun, I know that I will enjoy the satisfaction of having completed it, and I will enjoy the satisfaction of having learned new skills in the process. Yeah, of course, Shiboji, like, that's the thing too with World of Jiggy. Like, I already have stuff that I could, I probably wouldn't copy paste a bunch of blueprints necessarily, maybe a few, but it's more about having done it so I understand the process. I can redo it better, and I can do it, like, and probably some assets or something somewhere. And if not bringing stuff from World of Jiggy into this new game, almost certainly I would be able to do the other way around, and take stuff that I would have made from that and make something that I can use in World of Jiggy as well. Made the dumbest, simplest game in one day. Spent 2 more days fixing and tuning it. Proud because it's your second game and the first one people might actually play. That sounds awesome. Sounds sick. So yeah, that's the thing too. Like, I figured this game that I want to make, my goal is to like complete it and put it up on itch and just kind of learn how that works. I had another thought about like doing like a digital art book or sketchbook or that kind of thing, and maybe putting it up there, just kind of establishing some little marketplace presence of some kind. Like, not that I would expect anyone to just stumble on it and find it, but just to see if that's like maybe something that I would want to do, and maybe have something where if I put up other stuff in the future of different, like whatever it might be, like have a place for that. Like, I don't think whatever I make now would be something that I wouldn't have any inclination of trying to sell it. So like I wouldn't bother trying to put it on Steam. But who knows what you could sort of evolve to eventually. But yeah, exactly, Shaboy. Just, you know, fail early, fail quickly, and fix your mistakes instead of just doing nothing in fear of failing. That's like the worst thing, right? So yeah. And I've been kind of thinking, I think I probably said this before too, that like, because I have a bunch of other World of Jiggy stuff I want to make, and I have this vague idea for a game, or like I have a pretty concrete idea right now, but at the beginning it was pretty vague. I felt like, well, probably I want to do that like next year. But right now I probably want to kind of keep the momentum and work on some more World of Jiggy stuff. But that's kind of transformed a little bit, where I feel like I have World of Jiggy stuff that I do want to make, but my brain kind of keeps diverting into the direction of the new, or like the game. So without setting sort of expectations for myself or anybody else, I will have a good amount of time off for the holidays. So I'm looking forward to seeing if I'm able to put some focused time, just like I did with the minigame, and see how far I can get in making that, like, make an effort to begin development of the game during the holiday break. And like, I'm pretty confident that if I really tried, if I really dedicated myself to it, I could definitely finish and make the game during those weeks. But I don't really want to commit to that, because I want to make sure that I can actually take some time off and rest. Like, I don't want to come back to work like burned out from having worked all through the break. But even if I get like halfway, I reckon that's going to put me in a pretty good spot to, you know, keep going and be able to maybe finish that up relatively early in the year, as opposed to spending 6 months thinking about wanting to do that this year, you know? You need to challenge yourself constantly. That's how you evolve. I mean, I don't disagree, but I think it's also like, it's pretty important to set those challenges at an appropriate level. That's what I think I've been able to achieve really well with World of Jiggy. It wasn't really planned out like some sort of grand master plan, but it worked out that way, in that it's very modular and there's all these self-contained little bits and pieces, and I've been able to approach making stuff one bit at a time, where I've been able to take things in an order where each new thing I want to make doesn't challenge me too much. Like, it's an appropriate level of challenge where I have to do things I don't know how to do and I have to learn them, but it's a small enough hurdle to get over that I can get the gratification of figuring it out pretty quickly, because I think it's really easy to take on more than you're capable of, and it's taking too long to reach that point of feeling that gratification and satisfaction. And unless you have like absolute, you know, solid steel mental fortitude, like, it can be very easy to be discouraged by lack of progress and just fall off. Obviously people are very different on that front, but I think for me, I've had so many things where I've tried something and been frustrating in my inability to do it and just giving up on the spot. So I just feel kind of proud and satisfied that I, without really knowing how to, just sort of lucked into, I feel like, being able to set that level of challenge quite appropriately as I've been making stuff for World of Jiggy. Incremental doses of challenge work best. Yeah, I mean, that's the idea, right? Because you just take it one step at a time. You don't like set your sights low, complete that thing, and then like just lean back and relax for the rest of your days. Like, I did a thing. I mean, I suppose that could be a pitfall too. But yeah, of course, the idea is like you finish one thing, which then gives you a little bit more confidence to take on the next thing that's, you know, slightly elevated, and, you know, doing 10 tiny things instead of taking on one massive thing that you're sort of destined to fail no matter what. That's my take on it anyway. That's not like factually true or anything, but that's kind of my experience with that kind of stuff anyway. So, you know, I haven't thought too hard about it, but I reckon at least parts of the process for the game, I really wouldn't mind doing, like, publicly, doing on stream and sharing on Discord and everything. I don't want to share anything about it yet, really, because I don't want to feel like I'm overconfident and having everything sort of determined. Like, I want to at least put some amount of work into it so that it actually exists before I start talking about it in any great detail, or sort of showing things or what have. Well, I mean, I won't have anything to show if I don't do it, but so I don't want to like describe all the idea and everything for what it's going to be. But I have a pretty firm idea. It's going to be a very simple game. It's going to be like a one-button game. It's going to have score. And it's going to be thematically appealing to me, of course. But something that I think regular viewers, fans of the channel, should hopefully be able to appreciate on some level or another. So chances are that'll become something we come back to, you know, in the not-too-distant future. In any case, here we are about half hour later, talking about not wanting to sit around chatting for 45 minutes before we get to the video game. So I think without further ado, let's get to the video game. And the video game is, of course, From Russia with Love. We made it about 75-80% of the way through. I think we have like 3 levels left.
You shall be a champion of the good, a protector of the weak and innocent. You shall become a Dragon Master.
Your boy Jay will become a Dragon Master. Believe in you. I believe you will wield your newfound powers responsibly. I believe you will live by the code of the dragon, even if no one really quite knows or remembers what it exactly is. Want to see a wrestling elimination with all chatters entering the ring and only one leaving? I think that sounds pretty sick. I've definitely had thoughts previously about doing stuff with Fire Pro Wrestling and integrating it on stream somehow. Like I usually do whenever, for the last however many installments of the Best of Nintendo Marathon, I've been doing the NCW wrestling stuff, and it's always like super fun to do, and reception tends to be very positive. But it is a lot of work, so I haven't really come up with, I didn't put a ton of thought into it, but I've entertained the idea of doing, you know, recurring like pay-per-view wrestling shows sort of with Fire Pro World and streaming that or something, but I don't know exactly, like I haven't quite pieced together what that would be. But in terms of making something myself, of course, like, yeah, I'd love to do something wrestling themed. Problem with that is, like, no matter what you do with it, at least doing it to sort of the standards that I would want to do it, and the part of it I would want to make, involves a lot of complex animation. So it's kind of difficult no matter what. Like, even if it's purely non-interactive, it's one of those things where I have a vague notion of it, you know, this would be cool, but it's like pretty far on the horizon before I've learned a lot of other stuff. Thought about a Dan Club. Yeah, Dancing Man was like helped me out with some stuff for one of the previous installments of of Nintendo, and like he was pretty gung-ho about it as well. I thought it would be a fun idea. So we kind of discussed it briefly, but nothing ever really came of it. But the idea isn't like completely dead. It's just, you know, it exists in the same ocean as 55 million other ideas of stuff you know you'd want to do. But part of that also kind of fed into the idea of World of Jiggy in the first place, and that became kind of the universal receptacle for that kind of idea, where whether it's visualizations or events or something, like if I can make that part of one whole thing instead of like all these disparate ideas, that felt pretty appealing to me. But for sure, given my taste for professional wrestling, it's certainly a kind of theme or a setting or something I would want to see represented in World of Jiggy in one form or another at some point. But I haven't quite come up with a good idea for how to do it, or much less prioritize making it. But, you know, one of these days. User's been hours making wrestlers in SmackDown vs. Raw. Yeah, I've bought a couple of WWE games in relative recent years. And yeah, I would spend like a week making 3 like Slam Masters characters or something, and then I play 2 matches and I remember like, oh yeah, these games are fucking dog shit. They feel awful to actually play, and then I lose interest. And then like 4 years later, oh, maybe I'll buy a WWE game. And yeah, that tends to be the experience with those. Anyway, unfortunately, so far at least, no sweet wrestling moves in From Russia with Love, but we've seen some exciting fisticuffs. We have some good cutscene fighting with what's his name, Grant, on the train. We also had a climactic shootout with him, which was like a kind of a cool idea with the boss fight, except we could pretty easily stun lock him through the entire fight, which was a bit underwhelming. Well, that was cool. Anyway, we'll get to the game in a mere moments, but also just to check in real quick. We did get a subscription, which means we have today collected 250 credits towards the Q Branch Research Funding Initiative. You too can contribute by subscribing, by using bits, by buying merch, or donating to the channel. And if we reach a grand total of 1,000 credits, i.e. the equivalent of 1,000 bits or $10 or however that adds up, we will have cleared a daily objective. And once we have cleared 10 of those, we will unlock the next secret mission, which will be Seen It, the DVD game 007 edition. A DVD-based trivia game that I am quite excited to check out at one point or another, for sure. But when we do it, is in your hands. But with that, I think we are about ready to get going. So let us gameplay up here. Games disabled. Xbox turned on. See if I can remember correct profile for this. Want to say it's this? Doesn't exactly look right, but I know that this screen is all different. Looks more correct, but maybe not. Definitely not this one. There's like mega off center in one of them, or both of them. Surely it's not this. Is it this? I'm confused. I don't know, it looks pretty good. And from what I saw, this music does not appear to mute the VODs, believe it or not. This is from the film score. Not the actual music used in the opening credits of the film, mind you, but music from the film. Oh. Better? Yeah, we made some good progress last time, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't leave too much of the game left, so we would have a poor chance of finishing it tonight. But there is a possibility that we might be in for some real brick walling here at the very end. I don't know. But hopefully we'll get through it smoothly. And hopefully we'll have enough time to also maybe take a look at some extras and do some proper spreadsheet updating by the end. But yeah, it's been kind of fun because I brought this up multiple times, but watching the film, it's not a very action-heavy film. So it was clear right away that the game would have to do a lot of filling in blanks. And it certainly has done that, but also in a way that I found a little surprising, where it's like the train, most notably, is like a very major part of the film, and it's one level in the game, and that level is mostly, well, I guess the level isn't mostly cutscene, which is what I was about to say, but the actual level part is not things that happen in the film. All of the parts of the train section of the film that are represented in the game happen in the opening cutscene of the level, which is a little goofy. Not what I expected. Granted, given what the game is and how it functions mechanically, you know, the train section of the film isn't exactly shootouts and action, so a little bit limited to how much of that you could represent through the gameplay mechanics of this game. But still, it seems to me as though the rest of this game is now firmly beyond the boundaries of the film's plot. Do the little thing on the top left there with the boat and the exploding barrels and stuff, like that, I guess, would be sort of towards the very end, so maybe that is still in the film. We didn't fight the helicopter yet, which also would be sort of after the train section, so maybe that's hopefully still there. Well, I mean, we have fought helicopters, but not as seen in the film. But yeah, things might get a little crazy, but I'm here for it. What's up, Socrates? Film's really funny. The film's awesome. I think it's really great, but it's also a very peculiar choice for a game like this. 40 years later, being like, hey, we can make a game specifically based on an older film. I feel, I don't know. I don't want to say that it's the worst choice. Most of the Sean Connery films are the ones I haven't really watched in recent memory, so I don't know, but this one just has, well, maybe it's comparable to Dr. No, I suppose. I haven't watched that recently, but this one, just like I said, doesn't have a lot of action in it, and it is like a really good spy thriller, and yeah, it's funny, and it's like a pretty comfy movie. A lot of it is just like hanging out. An actual game that was more authentic to the film would be super interesting, but I don't think that's what this would ever have been. Let's see. We do have 18 research points. Put that into something before we head into the next level. We've been upgrading stuff pretty heavily. We haven't really updated. Oh yeah, the the serum gun that turns, you shoot an enemy and they turn rabid and start mauling the other enemies, which is pretty good. I did put some upgrades into the sniper rifle because I figured we might probably have at least one sniper section left, in which case it'll be nice to have. Magnum I barely used. Yeah, I've got the ammo upgrade for everything. Full ammo. I guess I don't necessarily walk around with full special ammo for everything, but I guess we'll upgrade the Magnum, and we'll probably use it eventually. So let's hop on back to... I guess we should start the timer. We're kind of playing the game now, aren't we? Yeah, so train we completed, and there's a bonus level here eventually, but we're not going to get enough rewards points to unlock it. Unless there's a code, like a cheat code to unlock the bonus levels. We're probably going to get enough to at least unlock this one. But the first bonus level we did check out at the end of the last stream, and it was unsurprisingly very unexciting. It's a neat little extra, but it's just that, just an extra. Anyway, as far as the plot goes here, we got on the train in Istanbul to escape with the Lector decoder. We have learned that Tatiana is not, as she thought, working for the Russian government, but rather have been tricked into working for Octopus, as the organization is called in this game, because they didn't have the rights to the name Spectre. So she has kind of defected from them, I suppose. And we're just like now trying to escape with the decoder machine and just get it to England. But if memory serves, I guess what happened during the train level is that Grant, the Octopus agent claiming to be MI6, managed to trick us. And I suppose they got away with the Lector, so that's why we still have to chase them. We did kill him at the end of the last stage, but he had a partner of sorts in the completely made up for the game, not present in the movie, sexy catsuit henchwoman. So I guess I don't remember, but I guess she has the Lector and we have to chase her and get it, because otherwise wouldn't we just leave? I don't think we have it anyway. Oh, whatever. The plot is it's a bit goofy, but I'm sure we'll get all the important details in some kind of opening cutscene to this next level. Apparently is a factory. We'll see if I remember what any of the controls are, but I think we'll be all right. Let's go.
Looks like you've tracked Eva to an octopus smuggling operation. Destroy the installation and put them out of business.
I guess her name is Eva. Alright, well, so much for stealth. Which I do appreciate. Like, there is a bit of stealth here and there in this game. But it never gets, like, tedious or obnoxious. And even if you fuck it up, it's like, whatever, let's just go guns blazing. And it doesn't, like, the game never feels like it punishes you for it. Anyway, like we're doing the opposite of stealth here. I like this guy was hanging onto the railing. Alright, okay. Plant 3 bombs. Remember the controls here. Oh yeah, I can juke. Oh yeah, I guess I have things on the map. The jetpack controls are like nice and smooth. Explosions are still incredibly sick. Oh yeah, let's check out what's the Bond move for this level. Bond moment, destroy the guard tower. Look out for a guard tower. I noticed, by the way, that game audio was like super low from the capture in my previous streams, so I was trying to see if I can make some changes, and it looks like it's much louder now. But let me know if audio levels are all whack and need adjustments further. Try to change it best I can. If I can drop down here. Actually, can I? I guess. I don't know if it serves any purpose. There we go. Oh, wait. I thought I had the AK or something. Like wondering why it didn't fire because it was a pistol. Or not even a pistol, I suppose. Ah, I guess I probably did need to go. Finicky positioning for interacting with stuff. Somewhat maddening, but it's fine. Probably disabled something that allows me to fly through there. I didn't exactly understand what happened, but alright. This is again a perfect example of how this game manages to make what could and would likely be very boring gray facility hallway type of environment actually look pretty appealing. I bet I can shoot the ropes on these guys, but I cannot be bothered. See, that's like quicker anyway. Is that a new... No, that's armor. I was gonna say, is that like a new jetpack down there? Even in the last time we flew out of the sewers, the underground level, there were also these like places to land. To fly, but it served like no purpose. But here there's actually... I don't really know why I have to land in the designated landings. Oh, plant bombs! Okay. Well, hopefully I didn't miss important bomb planting spot. I guess we see them on the map though, so no. Fine. Oh, it looked like a vent, and I was like, oh wait, am I supposed to Q-copter here? Snows! Oh, we got a new outfit! Hell yeah. Play some dress up. Oh yeah, briefcase turret. Forgot about that. I don't know why the picture is like black. Wait. Oh, this was the end of the... Oh, okay. I thought, okay. Never mind. I thought we were doing some more flying. I didn't realize we were done. Oh, it's good timing for the snowsuit, at least. I'm sure I don't need that ammo. Yeah, the inventory here does let us see the ammo. Special ammo. This? I really don't like the switching ammo stuff. Like, it's just definitely too clunky. But...
Fight me!
Alright, sure. If you insist. But it doesn't, like, really... Shoot his grenade. Well, he turned around, so... I guess the answer was no.
Hey, what are you doing here?
There we go. That is such a fun mechanic. See, like, obviously, I could have been a little more sneaky. But it doesn't feel like I'm being punished for not... No. You just kind of... Oh yeah, let's do this, and it's like totally fine. Armor-piercing rifle. Alright, new weapons. I wasn't expecting that. Infiltrating. Be on the lookout for a guard tower to explode. Is that a guard tower? See if we can snipe something here. Take out dudes. Oh. It was a little... I don't have a lot of sniper ammo, actually, so... Special 7 rounds. this with the... Yeah. Oh, I'm not being too hot on the ammo situation here. Go here. I figured if it were supposed to explode this, there's going to be a way to explode it. There you go. As far as, like, by the standards of this game, not a bad Bond moment. Supposed to use this to climb up here. Something like that. For some reason, you get extra Bond marksmanship coolness points for shooting them in the gut. Still don't understand what the deal is with that. Oh, I guess I have to get up here to plant a bomb. That's probably the idea. Kind of wondering why I could go up here, but also seemingly progress. Pretty cool though, like just dynamically placing that thing and being able to climb up on it. Not a thing you would super take for granted. How's this for a gray hallway? Oh. You can't shoot through these railings for whatever reason.
Take him down! Give me a shot!
Get some armor. As far as I'm aware, you cannot refill your health. So helps to get the armor before your health starts draining. More pixels of armor at least. It looks like a bomb placing location on the map. There we go. The precision required to get into position to interact with stuff is very odd. Ooh, schematics. And research point. Thank you very much. Something. Pretty limited where you can climb. Not there though, I wonder. Oh, that didn't work. Locked. Anything I can laser watch through this glass? Well, probably that. Holy. It's got pretty good range. So let's not stand right next to it. Hey, that worked. Factory key. Alright, that seems like a good thing to get. Hot babe posters. See, they seem a little bit, you know, some efforts of time period authenticity here. Nice. I mean, not to say the game does a terrible job of it otherwise, but especially in some of these stages, it can be easy to forget that it's supposed to be like the 60s. Oh, right. Dudes. Ooh, I'm out of armor. That's great. Rounds full, shot shells, SN. Oh, I can... Yeah, so this is why the inventory screen is convenient, because it actually shows you the ammo counts. Otherwise, you don't see how much ammo a weapon has until you actually equip it. A little annoying. But otherwise, in general, like swapping weapons and gadgets and stuff is not bad. It could easily be a lot more cumbersome. In fact, I remember it being actually more cumbersome in Everything or Nothing than it is here. All right, the building here, I suppose. Ooh, boats. Wonder if that means boats chase after this. Oh yeah, I guess I needed to get the key to go through that doorway. That makes sense. Armor. Let's go grab it. Whee. Picked up. Not a big armor pickup there, but
Keep firing!
okay. There, I was like, where am I being shot at from? Right next speed. Oh yeah, we can use the phone. There's been a handful of these like little things we can just interact with. This wood paneling looks so cozy. But yeah, there's like a typewriter, and there was like a, you know, drinking fountain, or like there's these little things. Here we have these like phones. All right, just play a sound effect. Sure, why not? Anytime you're in these little interiors, like furniture and props and stuff, like, man, the level of detail is so nice. Like, I love the way this game looks. Did I use the button? Yeah, there we go. It's like hard to know. All right, got Russian elevator music. I say Russian, like there's posters of Stalin and whatever, but like, where are we exactly? There's like an octopus smuggling operation of some kind. I don't know. Like in the film, the idea is they're supposed to
Unspeakable horror
Hey.
awaits you.
Socrates with the sub. 15 months of Unspeakable Horror, and that's 500 you credits. Thank you very much indeed. Hi to you. Appreciate that. In the film, the idea is they steal the Lector device. Oh shit. Oh, these guys. This mechanic is sick, where you shoot the armor to make him vulnerable. They steal the thing from, like, what, the Russian consulate in Istanbul. They get on the train, and they're supposed to have, like, contacts that will help them sort of smuggle the device through, like, whatever borders. And if I recall, they're supposed to, like, take the train all the way to England. But due to complications, they have to alter their plans. And they're supposed to sort of get off at a certain point. And then that sort of fucks up, and they have to sort of wing it. But because that whole thing is just like playing out a bit differently here now, I'm losing the thread a little bit, and I'm not sure geographically where this is supposed to be. This is pretty sick, though. As far as like evil layers go, I think this is really cool and really fun, and definitely leans into that sort of retro classic Bond aesthetic in a way that you couldn't really do in something like Everything or Nothing or Rogue Agent. So yeah, like, fair play. We were in this sort of timeless industrial facility type level. But it turns into a secret lair where the 60s setting is used to full effect. So that's pretty awesome. Go up this little elevator there. Can I break this glass? Figured not. Find a bomb in here. The map is a little not super easy to read. I guess through here, but I can't get through here just yet. Pulpit? Nope. Figured maybe there's a hidden switch. I mean, we got a world domination globe here. Got all kinds of graphs and bars and blinking lights. See, a whole panel of just blinking lights. And a quite lovely color palette, I have to say. Little indoor pool, waterfall type thing. Look at this comfy little couch group. Place is nice. More dudes spawning? Yeah, I figured. Oh, got a rocket thing. They fucking nailed the aiming and targeting stuff. It's so fun. Like, it's such a nice evolution on the system and Everything or Nothing that I think really elegantly combines like the simplicity of the lock-on stuff while also letting you manually aim and target, and just having the whole like being able to shoot grenades and on their belt and rockets on their back. Like it's just like it has not become any less fun than it started off, you know. Crouching wiggle walk there. Yep. All right. Done. There's the last bomb spot. So I reckon maybe we plant a bomb and then we oh no, maybe we can open up the thing to that vehicle, whatever that was, and escape using it. Wanted to hit the grenade, but sure, let's just do a tactical roll out in the open. What's the worst that could happen? Even the level design here, like, honestly, I think this is one of my favorite levels so far. Like, the mission structure, level design type stuff hasn't been, I think, as varied or interesting in this game as Everything or Nothing. Like, not even close. But this has a nice sort of linear kind of feel to it. Am I supposed to fight this or ride it? Okay. Well, yes. I guess he was just sleeping. Taking damage. Oh, and whoa, whoops. Like climax. A weird kind of delay to the just deleted it. All right, okay. That wasn't like super exciting, but still, man, it's so nice to have a game like this that you can just kind of smoothly, I don't want to say coast, but get through without it being overly stressful or tedious, redoing levels over and over or anything like that. It's been a pretty pleasant experience. There is, of course, a higher difficulty level, so if one wanted to have more of a challenge, that would be entirely possible. Escape through the warehouse. Go in here. Oh, this is where we grab the stuff. Left from, or leave through game, I suppose. Map's not very helpful, but we'll know if we can. Yeah. If we were supposed to find some other route out of here, probably not be allowed to use the elevator. Okay. Equip the special ammo. I thought, well, shotgun's very satisfying, but it has a very limited range. Not really worth using. I guess we'll keep this because when we run out of special ammo, we should just swap back to standard ammo. Well, I guess we're not taking the boat thing. Well, there's enemies here, so we probably were meant to go here. Wanting to shoot the grenade and accidentally shooting the dude instead. The routing at this point gets a little confused. Like, we're not exactly being sort of railroaded to our destination. Do I climb back up here? Closest thing I could think of to a warehouse. But I'm not exactly sure. I don't recall there being an obvious escape route through here. There's a blue dot on the map in this general direction, though, so I suppose we will just go here. And guard's still full. Oh. Well, this is a warehouse. Someone was shooting. I'm not finding anything to lock onto. There we go. Whoa. This is a switch we can pull that was not available before. Oh, cutscene. Want to grab the armor. Oh yeah, right. Bombs. Dude, I know that I'm a broken record, but damn, the explosions look so satisfying in this game. Oh shit. Like quality comedy punch sound effect with stock sound. All right, well, we got the Lector, so
Base, this is Eva. Set the tunnel charges to blow. I don't care who's inside. We have to stop bomb.
oh shit, escape. Oh, that's the accelerator button. Infinite ammo. Yeah, I figured we wanted to shoot things that's in front of us. Okay, those things are pretty safe to just drive through. Am I taking damage? No. Okay, so this looks like it's using a lot of the, yeah, the tunnel level we played. Using like the assets from this, I suppose. Jump. What? Okay. All right. We got some car stunts here. Pretty all right. Yeah, because I noted that when we were playing that level, the bonus level, I was surprised to seemingly see like unique assets for a bonus level. I was curious if that was in fact the case, but nah, it looks like it's all stuff. I mean, it could have been repurposed from something else into this level, I suppose. That's entirely possible, but they were in fact used in a real level also. 18 seconds, that looks like an exit. All right, okay, good suspension. Got a suspension of disbelief. All right. We did it. Border unlocked. That's the next level. And Ruins, the second bonus level, unlocked. All right, we had the required number of disables. We did do the bond moment. Our 2 awards. We got 7 research points, which I don't think is really going to afford us anything. Oh no, wait, that's 7 research points for the special moves. But we do have 22 research points total. I don't understand. I guess maybe that's our 22... Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. I was going to say, on the awards section, it says total earned 22,000. Like, well, that could translate to 22 research points. But that wouldn't account for the 7 ones we got for the special moves. So, yeah, how it awards research points is a little bit of a mystery. But it doesn't really matter. All right, we're reaching a border. I don't know which border, but looks like a car level, and it looks like we're going to be fighting at least one, maybe multiple helicopters. There could well be on-foot sections here as well, though, so doesn't necessarily mean that upgrading weapons is useless. I'm never going to use this rifle, but 22 research points means might as well increase the clip size. Might as well increase fire rate. And yeah, I think we should just keep going. Wait for the map animation to play out. All right, let's find out what border we're trying to cross. Go, agent. Yeah, that was a fun mission. I liked it. The escape route section of it was a little confusing, but we're just procured an Aston Martin, I suppose. No, they're waiting for us. Okay, I see.
James!
I'm definitely not clear exactly on how she left, but I think she was present for the train level because we were protecting her for a bit. And then I guess we let her go as we chased after sexy evil lady.
James, there's a dock nearby.
Forgot.
If you can get there, you can get out.
Tanya, into the car.
Ah, dock. Okay. So we're driving, and then we're going to be doing some boating. Okay. Bond moment. Enter the pillbox. This might be a challenge, because I don't know what a pillbox is, but if you find something that seems like it would be a kind of thing that would be described as a pillbox, let's try to enter it. Find the dock key. But I reckon we're going to be just driving along a pretty linear road, so immediately being reminded that vehicular combat is going to get kind of annoying. Alright, let's do a little jump. Oh, that's pretty sick. I like it. Got some light finger gymnastics here to the Y button to do that. Also trying to shoot with the trigger and accelerate with the A button. One can actually target the helicopter. That's nice. I don't have enough fingers to swap to the rocket launcher. That was satisfying. Whoop, there was a jump there. Yo, what up, Ingvar? Thank you very much. GL. Greg turns a little finicky. All right, I guess I'm getting out here. Trying to get out, but it's the same button as. Do I need a complete standstill? Looks sick. It's a cool game. I like it. I just wish it was. It's not like quite living up to the majesty of Everything or Nothing. Of course, this game has the sort of. What's working against it is the fact that I already played Everything or Nothing, so I'm going into this with very high expectations. But it's a fun game. It's very enjoyable. All right, I can snipe that guy. I wonder which game will have the best vehicular gameplay. All said and done. Yeah, like here, it's my biggest grievance with the vehicle stuff here is that like whenever there's car action, there's always like just way too much of it. Too many enemies and they're too tanky. And it's not that it's too hard that I die and fail 5 times. It's just that like it's brought to the level of absurdity where I'm supposed to drive like half a mile to sneak into the Russian consulate. But on my way there, driving through the city center of Istanbul, I have to explode 36 Russian spy cars that are just like driving around the corner and instantly firing like fully automatic guns at us, and we have to just explode. It's just like preposterous levels of destruction that completely shatter the illusion of it being not only like something that could happen in a Bond movie, but something that like it you know, the level of mayhem just makes the, you know, the latter Fast and Furious movies look low key, and it's just it's ridiculous. And I think you could easily strip that down by a lot, and you would still have the feeling of excitement and the cool stuff that happens, and you know, you get some explosions and whatever. But I would honestly be super cool with having sections that are literally just, you know, we have to drive there, and it's just a little bit of driving to you know, add a little spice and variety, and then you could have a little bit of a chase or whatever. But like, it's so much of it, like the patterns of the enemies, they always like drive up to you, and you know, they kind of run you off the road, and it's just like, oh, it's like annoying to deal with. So it's just, I don't know, the controls are fine, the mechanics of it are fine, the mission sort of layout and the maps and the, like, individual elements are mostly fine, but I think that there's a lot of things that are just tweaked in a way to make it a little annoying and not as cool as it could have been. So even that is something I think there are more driving levels in Everything or Nothing that have a greater sense of variety. Like, we have the Istanbul streets that we return to a few different times with slightly different kind of mission objectives and stuff, but I felt like the driving stuff when you're like in New Orleans, for example, in Everything or Nothing, were more like interesting. There was a bit of sort of stealth and finding stuff and like doing different things, and some things were more chaotic, more of a linear chase, and then there's something where there's more combat. But then you also had like the motorcycle stuff. Like the highway level is like peak insane, holy shit, awesome set piece driving action level. And then you also had the driving through the, like, there's a thing where you're in this, I don't remember where it was set geographically, but I want to say it was Greece or like some Mediterranean, I don't know, it could have been South America, I don't know. But you go sort of this like city that's kind of on a hill, and there's multiple different driving sections that are around, like driving through that city. But at some point you kind of get to this sort of peak of it, and then you have to sort of escape, and you sort of drive down the rooftops on your motorbike, and then you enter this tunnel that leads to this like temple ruin section. Like, it's just a crazy set piece stuff that combines, you know, my passion for motorcycle driving and my passion for rooftop jumping. Like, it's just, how do you top that? Like, there's not been anything close to that in this game, and I think there's not gonna be a lot of games that will be able to compete with that. But frankly, I don't know what to expect in terms of the Activision Bond games. I don't know if vehicle stuff is gonna like even be a factor, because I just know them as like first or third person shooter games, but I also don't know the games at all, so I have no idea what to expect, frankly. Yeah, I mean, honestly, without the unflattering comparison with Everything or Nothing, he's behind that. You know, if we went from like Nightfire to Rogue Agent to this, I would definitely appreciate that the levels in this are like way shorter and more linear and less tedious than the Nightfire levels, like by a lot. But they're not as short and intense and awesomely cool as the Everything or Nothing levels. The set piece, you know, excitement levels aren't as high. Oh, there's a shield. I thought it was a barrel. Even the shield enemies are like so fun because the aiming mechanics are like pretty sick. I'm here? Nope. There's a pillbox I can enter. It looks like where I need to go. These guys can like peek out on the left or the right or center, but you have to like shoot them in the head when they peek out like from the right, unless you can only climb standing upright. It seemed like I'd be able to climb up here, but an objective thing there, but let's explore a little bit. I guess there was a gate or something that we parked in front of. Oh, that's a pretty cool effect, the wave crashing. Like, I think this will obviously still end up fairly high on the tier list. I was just, I guess, kind of going in hoping that I would have like a secret discovery of like some mega masterpiece. The way Everything or Nothing was like something I was excited for and was looking forward to, and frankly I had decently high expectations for, but it like sort of shattered them, as it ended up being like just so much crazier than I could have anticipated. It's like running full speed and just instantly dropped down with the shield when I started shooting. But really, like, just the smoothness of the experience of getting through this has made it like such a joy to just have fun with. Do I need to... I have a key. I mean, I can smash through a door. We'll find out. That doesn't work. Unless I lower these things. Yeah. What was the objective? Reach the... I have the dock key. Reach the docks. I was not even supposed to... Obviously, I'm supposed to return to the car sooner or later because... Wait. I'm not supposed to drive... I am... Wait, hang on. Look at the map. Am I supposed to drive back? Okay, I don't know what the blue dot there is supposed to indicate. Damn. See, stuff like this, I find... I don't recall having trouble in the same way where it's like, okay, it doesn't feel like I'm supposed to be kind of confused about what I'm meant to do or where I'm meant to go, but I kind of am. Okay, I don't know if he despawned or drove off the edge there. I seem to be driving towards blue dot on the map. Screwed up, we'll just redo the level. I mean, they place jumps in this direction too, so... Using the little tire bonk, that thing is pretty fun. What sucks is it does tend to require 2 hits. Alright, maybe we came from there and now we're taking this. I guess well, this is a new route. Okay. Wasn't very clear, but here we are. Kind of like last stage, right? Where it's like... I mean, I find myself going in the right spot eventually. Pillbox. Did. You coming? Commandeer a naval boat, something. Okay. Your boat of some kind. I think that might be a pillbox. Well, we'll find out. It's so funny the way they snap into place. Was satisfying. See, need some... Aha! Aha! Hey, wait, hang on. I was gonna say I think we can figure this out, but quite reach it. Maybe. Briefcase turret? No, wait. Maybe we might as well try it at some point, right? Works. Can I laser this thing from all the way over here? Can I eat in there? I need to break this little lock thing. This seems highly questionable. Well, it didn't break. I think I threw it right through. Yep. I don't know that I can get the grenade much closer than that. I can bounce it off of this wall. Well, not that wall. Or that window. Well, whatever. It was worth a shot. Probably some kind of puzzle solution to this. But the fact that there is that little lock box thing on the inside. Oh, wait. I get it. Realized I don't necessarily need a... I can shoot it with anything. But if we can get some height. Seems like engineered to not let me see it. But Johnny, just gotta be a little patient with me, alright? Schematics? Oh, shit! Attaché case. I totally forgot. Do some puzzling. Don't have anything more important going on anyway, right? So let's do some attaché case puzzles. '60s hacking minigame. A button. We have the sequence of buttons at the bottom that you have to press, but you can only press the button when it's on screen. On. No. L. Cutting close. Oh my god, there's more? You lost it. How much better could I have done that? Is there some method that I'm unaware of? Giving us good button order here. I'm just assuming that I'm meant to wait, but maybe I can like advance it with a D-pad or something. I'm a little scared to try it. Dude, and now all my time is just leaking away. Nope. D-pad input counted as a miss input. YRB. Fuck's sake. I mean, I had one miss. Like, maybe it's specifically timed so that you can do it, you just cannot afford a single miss. I think there's one more after this. Which, please? Maybe I could have done those two. This is kind of stupid. All right, let's try 11, which I'm sure it's not going to be easier. Like longer sequences per thing here. What could I be doing better here? Unless I've like totally misunderstood the mechanics of this. Yeah, that was just like 60% of the timer drained on this one because I'm not getting the things I need. I could maybe have done another L input there, but what difference does it make? Like, we're not getting close to being able to do it. I don't know. I don't feel like trial and erroring my way through seeing if there's major things I've missed with the mechanics, but anyway, let's impress Tatiana with our fancy dinner jacket. I mean, it's not like we need the upgrade points anyway. Oh, okay, let's not those. Make sure to get one gut shot to get the star. But I reckon as soon as we touch the boat there, we're gonna advance to the next section of the level. Really perplexed as to how I'm meant to get into that. Sure. I can climb most crates, but not the ones I would actually want to climb in order to get the vantage point. Oh, well. I was like, wait, what's that green thing? It's like, oh, it's her. I will say the, oh, my... Figures. Oh, I see. Little monster closets there. The, AI of like escort Ortiz, is that the word? People you escort, not nearly as obnoxiously incompetent. Like, there's been quite a few sections in the game where we have to protect someone, and I don't think we had any deaths or fails due to that. There may have been a part where we failed, but not because we died, but not failing to protect someone.
By the morning. Take the wheel. You didn't expect it to be smooth sailing, did you?
Oh, this isn't quite like the film. Oh, that's right. We have to aim with the left stick. To the border. So when you're doing the turret, there's also no... I don't know what these guys have rocket launchers. There's no lock on. Do that. These guys are still fine. Well, not anymore. You can zoom, but not lock on. So yeah, in the underground level, you do the boat section first, where you go on the boat with Karen Bay, and then he leaves with the boat, and you go through again, like leaving with the jetpack. And when you're on the jetpack, oh, whoops, fine, my armor barely. When you're on the jetpack, of course, you can lock on. But going through the same tunnels with the jetpacks is like 50 times easier. Really don't like these kind of sections though. Again, like, because you have the full range aiming, you never know like where you're supposed to be looking or aiming. Critical. That's appreciative though. Like, That's appreciated. Like you can see, the color of the reticle indicates how much health the thing you're shooting has, which is a pretty elegant design, in my opinion. Of course, opening, someone's coming out, and I'm just shooting until building explodes. There was a turret section in Nightfire that I remember being quite obnoxious in the, like, there's a flying level. And this stuff hasn't been that bad, for sure. Okay. Someone in this sea of flames is shooting rockets at us, it would appear. I'm seeing, like, bullet tracers, but, you know, okay. Hard to see. The frame rate makes it hard to tell the direction. Well, like, are they behind me or in front of me? I can't really tell. Sort of driving around in circles, but I trust that she will get us where we need to go, as long as I eventually shoot down enough targets. And again, it doesn't feel good to, like, not know or understand where I'm supposed to be aiming or where we're going or what we're doing. I don't really feel in control. But, to the game's credit, we still tend to manage to get through the sections. It's not being, in any sense, overly punishing. I don't exactly know what the purpose of that was, but hey. Nice little boat stunt. Appreciate that. Presumably a checkpoint. We just got our life bars and armor refilled. All these people just standing right next to these highly explosive sheds. Mines that... Oh, well, I guess we're going this way. Oh, hello. I guess those are just big gas pumps by the shed. Why not? But yeah, like, I feel like I've played sections like this, not just in games like Nightfire or maybe other Bond games, but just in general, like Xbox or Xbox 360 sort of era action games that just have turret sections. And I feel like it's kind of unusual for them to be this forgiving. I kind of expect them to be more punishing or more demanding, and like just have to know how the level is supposed to play out, so you like aim in the right spots ahead of time.
There's one on our right.
Prescient. I don't know, I'm kind of reminded of the like the John Connor escort level in P2, the arcade game. That's like, even, you know, that's already a midway game, so it's of course like highly punishing and insane. But you can't even credit feed that level because you have to protect John Connor's like truck as you're like racing to infiltrate Cyberdyne or Skynet or whatever in the like the future war. And there's a bunch of like hunter killers showing up on screen, instantly starting to shoot at the truck. So as soon as they show up on screen, you have to like start, you know, destroying them. And you know, they come in from the left and from the right. You just kind of have to know where they're showing up, and especially in like the home ports where you don't have the immediacy of aiming with a gun, like taking seconds to moving your cursor from one edge of the screen to the other, just like, you know, it's kind of impossible. And I feel like that's, to some degree or another, how a lot of these types of stages tend to kind of end up. So, I mean, I do maintain that even if it isn't that punishing, it doesn't really make me feel awesome to be, like, confused and like, just, I don't know, maybe I'm looking over here. Oh, let's... not the highlight of the game. Even if what's happening on screen is cool,
Hold on!
I would have much preferred this be an actual boat driving stage with a little bit of perhaps lock-on sort of automated shooting. But frankly, even the image of Sean Connery's James Bond mounting this massive machine gun turret like attached to this little boat is it's a bit silly. And granted, a lot of the game is sort of heightened well past what's in the film, but just add the image of it in itself, like, it's just kind of silly. Why are we just hanging out here? Like, don't we have places to be? I don't understand why we're like purposefully lingering just so we can wait for more boats and helicopters to spawn. Like, she doesn't seem to be
Watch out, darling!
in any kind of hurry to get to the border. Kind of, I mean, it makes it even stupider because it makes it feel like they just extended the scene for the purpose of extending it in like the silliest, dumbest way possible.
You're going too fast, I'm sorry.
For what? Like, outrun them? Is that what we're supposed to do? Like, park in front of them so I can shoot them. Make it easier for me anyway. Like, what is she doing? Like, not to say I don't trust her judgment or anything, but I feel like if he was at least sort of explaining, well, I mean, if she could be explaining to, I don't know, but like, oh, this doesn't work, let's try this. I don't have any context for like, oh, it's too slow, they're too fast, we have to, like, there's a jump. Like, okay, but why? Like, what's stopping us from just
Almost there! Enemy starboard!
going there? I don't know. Now we have to destroy an assault boat. That's it. I'm just holding down the trigger and aiming towards it. I don't know if there's... Actually, hang on. Oh, never mind. I was going to say, is there a Bond moment? But no, the level's been quite long, so I forgot that the damn pillbox. Yeah, can I shoot my... Yeah, I can't aim... Can't aim at the barrels on my boat. So maybe we'll get a little cutscene of that at the end. Are there like weak spots? I don't know. It's taking damage. The reticle's changing color. Sometimes I get hit stunned. Like when I get shot, you see there he like... Ugh, he flinches and I can't shoot while he's flinching. But there's no ammo count. There's no reloading. There's no overheating. It's literally just holding the trigger and... that it's certainly not to say that I would think the game would be more exciting or the level would be better if I had to manage overheating. But it's still remarkably dull and how sort of devoid of strategy or variation in intensity. Just this stuff is not the greatest. It could easily have been exactly this unengaging while also being super punishing and frustrating, so I'm glad it's not that.
Full speed. Keep it straight.
And I appreciate the variety that it does add, like at least having the boat scene. I understand that it's sort of simpler to have, like, it's probably not easy to have to make good feeling boat handling. The fact that you can do all the boat sequences as turret sequences means that, you know, they don't have to really worry about that part. But I would have preferred driving the boat. I appreciate, again, having boat stages. So there's like on foot stages, there's driving stages, there's boat stages, and there's jetpack stages. And usually any level that has vehicular components has like a mixture of things. I mean, this has driving, on foot, and then boat. Like, that's pretty cool. But of all of those, the turret sequences are easily my least favorite. Like, on top of everything I mentioned that makes like the shooting itself kind of and like the combat. The fact that in like every other instance, on foot, jetpack, or driving, we get to enjoy the lock-on mechanics for shooting, which makes the combat pretty enjoyable. And the turret sections not having lock-on, like, just highlights how much the lock-on helps provide like a smooth, fun, friction-free experience. So the shooting itself is like just more tedious and clunky because of that as well. I think that's maybe, you know, if these sections had lock-on and were sort of designed around that, they could easily have been more fun because they would have been able to sort of pace it a little differently. Yeah, we were not able to enter the pillbox. I threw a bunch of grenades, tried to snipe the key box, and I still didn't reach it, so I'm sure there's some trick to it. But oh well. Alright, so we're reaching the octopus base, which is the final level, and of course not featured in the film. But yeah, that's cool. They got the little boat chase section with him dropping the barrels and exploding them. That's from the film. That's nice. But I do think that's like very close to the end. I don't remember if there's like, I think that's after the helicopter stuff, which I suppose we've already fought a helicopter on foot while inside a building even. So trying to recreate that set piece from the film would maybe seem a little anticlimactic at this point. I don't know. But yeah, we're done with the movie stuff. But it's interesting that I guess the sexy lady henchwoman is, well, I was gonna say like gonna be the final boss, but we haven't seen, I don't think, I'm trying to remember, have we seen Blofeld? Like, have we seen the stuff that's in the film when we kind of see a bit of inside Spectre? I'm trying to recall. I don't think so. But the whatever her name is, the lady who were like giving the instructions to Tanya, who shows up as like the maid at like the hotel. Because that's like, yeah, that's, I'm trying to remember the order of the scenes in the film. I'm just thinking, are we gonna see her in this level again? Maybe she could be the final boss. I don't know. Was this the movie with the long diving fight? No, I think Thunderball has like the underwater combat stuff. Thunderball is also the film that has the jetpack, I believe. It's definitely not this film. Because Goldfinger was the film after this. Then I'm a little unclear if Thunderball was maybe the one after that. Then You Only Live Twice, maybe? I'm not positive. Anyway, we have some research points. Yeah, the jetpack. Like, this movie kind of borrows some adjacent things, I suppose. Like, at this point, I don't know if it matters. Are we even gonna get ammo for these guns for it to matter? Special, I don't know if I've even used a special rocket once. I don't know if we can, I don't think we can afford anything at 7. Unless there's something we can upgrade for a gadget. I don't think we can do that even, no. We're not gonna use any of these, it doesn't matter. Well, let's go do the final level. Unless... I think we should take a break first. I've been live for about 2 hours. And, who knows how long this is going to take. Might be another 20-30 minutes. So, I think it's better to take a break now. Leave you all in a little cliffhanger. And I will be back soon enough with the final level. And hopefully the completion of the game. But we have plenty to look at after beating it, so we'll have stuff to do for the rest of the stream, no doubt. In any case, I shall be back shortly with more hot Bond action. See you guys in a little bit. Right. Back. There we go. Thank you for your patience. We are now ready to remember to resume the timer, which I very nearly forgot. And select a mission. Octopus Base. Still don't exactly know where on Earth this is supposed to be, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's do it. Oh yeah, this is okay.
Bond. I'll hold. Oh, that should be the bell, Captain. There's money for a tip on the table.
Good morning,
Speaking of the hotel and maid and all thing, I guess it's
We're on
here.
our
Yeah, there
way
we go.
to the airport. It should be routine from here on in.
Not so fast, 011. It seems another matter has come up with our friends from Octopus. I'll pick you up in a helicopter in a...
Webb.
But what's going on?
Your time is up, Mr. Bond. Romanova, get the door and the lector.
It's pretty cool to see these like scenes recreated more directly from the film. I just got her like poison dagger, yeah. Like this is kind of the coolest stuff where they recreate stuff more directly. Oh, there we go. That's the end of her.
Horrible woman.
Yes, she's had her kicks.
Complete deadpan like facial animation too.
They've stolen a nuclear weapon and are threatening to blow up London unless we pay them
All right, this is a little bit of a storyline twist that was not in the film.
Weapon to here.
We believe it's the Octopus secret base.
Not anymore.
But that's awesome that they just put that little scene in there to sort of tie it together and, you know, tie up sort of the loose ends, I suppose, of that character. All right, let's go with the covert uniform. Probably not the ideal weapon here with the ammo situation. A little unclear again. Well, I guess we have plenty of standard ammo, so we'll just use the special one until it runs out. I suppose ammo does carry over between levels. Some of it gets like refilled and I don't know. Whatever, doesn't matter. Actually, Bond moment. Enter the secret room in the missile. So yeah, there's a lot of levels that have had the Bond moment just be like, oh yeah, there's a locked room. See if you can figure out a way to get inside. Not too unlike the pillbox. But often very like simple and straightforward. All right, we got some great facility hallways here, even though the lighting here is pretty nice. All right, it's already looking up. I was gonna say, surely we're gonna get some good full base type situation. Although I guess we've already seen bits and pieces in some trailer footage. I guess we got a headshot. I mean, yeah, this is. Ooh. Is that the secret room? I guess so. Let me. Don't shoot me, bros. I'm just gonna explode this thing. Wait, there's a vent. Made for my Q-copter. Oh, hello. That close? Oh. Guess this isn't the secret room. Alright. More local domination map. Not a full world domination map. Not super clear what's going on here or what we did in there, but that never fails to bring a smile to my face. Oh, hello. You ride that. Hang on. Let me Q-copter my way in there, because that doesn't go into this. I guess it does do that. I guess I could have Q-coptered instead of watching it. That's... I mean, it's a bit silly, but I suppose nice that you have the option of doing it different ways. Oh yeah, I guess the other walkway on the other side doesn't really go anywhere, does it? There's ammo. I cannot be bothered to go over there. I'll just go about it in here and see if we seemingly missed something. This reminds me of Time Crisis. I think it's in the first level. The latter parts of the first stage, I think, in the original Time Crisis. There's a part with, like, lifts, dudes. I mean, it doesn't quite look this Bill and Larry, but reminded me of that. The only thing missing is the ability for dudes to, like, fall off these ledges and to their doom. I would like to have a little bit more of that. Been kind of a surprising absence of that, even of like pre-scripted dudes falling off ledges pieces. I feel like there could have easily been plenty of, you know, sort of guard tower sniper type dudes who are hard locked to a railing such that they can fall over it when they die. Like, that's something I feel like we've seen in Bond games for as long as they've been in 3D. It's a little surprising that we don't really have that in this game.
To disable it. Over and out.
Plant bomb on fuel. Overhead. Oh, whatever. It's not huge deal. Man, even the layout of this room looks cool, by the way. I'm laughing. We had in the Q branch level, we did some like training exercises against these types of dummies. I guess Spectre are in fact using the exact kind of dummy. Do some impossible mission searching. One of my favorite mechanics of this game. Or piercer rifle ammo. What was I saying? I forget. Oh yeah, in Rogue Agent, there was like some rooms that kind of look like this in the final level, where you had the instant kill railgun weapon, whatever, back there, railgun, and like having to inch forward very carefully because you could die in one hit, and there was like no checkpoints or very infrequent checkpoints. And it's just like a fun contrast to have a level that is sort of thematically and in ways aesthetically similar, but not only looks way more fun and nice, but like is actually a fun, smooth experience to play through and not horrible or... I mean, and you can extend that to the game in general. Rogue Agent is a chore, and this is fun. Oh. Alright, sure, let's climb that. I do feel like in general the level design and mission design in this is a step down from Everything or Nothing, but definitely not bad. There was that one level, I think it was the I think it was the Russian consulate level, because it wasn't the level where we went inside to steal the Lecter. Whatever it was before, that culminated in the helicopter fight, where we had to find a bunch of hostages and bombs to rescue and defuse, respectively. That was a bit more sort of non-linear, but ended up having just a lot of backtracking because the map was very confusing. Like, that was probably my least, like, the level I had least fun going through. Really wish, like, if there's gonna be a map, I wish we could sort of just look at it a bit more, because I'd like to be able to determine if we're making progress, because there was another doorway in that main room down the center I thought was the way ahead, so I ignored it in favor of this, but now I feel like maybe this is the progress. Whatever. Accidental progress. I can. Runway. There's some kind of plane or something down there. This is cool. I think this has to be the coolest villain lair level in a Bond game. Like, there was stuff like, I think in Nightfire, like, was it the PC version of Nightfire, where we're in this like underwater complex and you find this room that is all like perfectly beautiful burgundy and gold, and it's all like chandeliers, and like, you know, inside this gray facility you have this like perfect villain office that's like really opulent and fancy, which was like an awesome touch. There's been bits and pieces like that, but there's such great variety of the different sort of shapes of rooms with layouts, and like the way they have this sort of volcanic cave integration looks cool, and it's like kind of fun to walk around too. I don't know if I was shooting railings or... Well, there was a jetpack over there, so of everything in this level. You know, it's so easy to imagine a level that's like this. You know, it's walkways and railings and elevators and rock tunnels and hallways being like mega boring and tedious, but it's like actually kind of cool. Oh, I was gonna say, I don't know if we're going where we're supposed to go, but oh, he's got a bot life bar. Oh yeah, I can lock on. Oh, where's my jukes? All right, so putting her in a fighter plane, that's a good way to make her like a more, you know, a boss, a feeling worthy of being the next boss after dude from the film. All right, let's try to swap weapons. It's like still pretty simple, but I guess it would be nice to have a more personal fight. But hopefully she gets out of this and we get to fight her again. I guess you didn't think to open the door though. Well, rip, sexy henchwoman. I mean, it's also hard not to compare this. That was cool, but you have that big fight that's also like by a crashed plane, where you're fighting Jaws, I think, for the last time in Everything or Nothing. That is also like this kind of multi-stage boss fight. So that felt kind of unceremonious. But now well, I guess Jaws could still show up. Like, I think basically all the villains have kind of been accounted for at this point, from the film, except like Blofeld. So I guess it would make sense. It would feel weird if there's no more sort of boss fight or similar. Who knows what they're gonna throw at us? What if Baron Samedi shows up? God, fucking voodoo zombies. Pretty good. Play takedowns. Big rocket thing. Something. Do I rappel down? Yeah, I sure do. Ah, schematics. I was just about to say, let's see if there's something here to grab first. That's a cool visual. Down here, let's do some shooting before we repel the next step down. Whoever was shooting at us, I guess we can't target them. Dude, this looks so fucking good. Like the smoke and fire and explosions and stuff definitely look really nice. Oh, he's tossing grenades. So when they can use it for a bit of atmosphere and not just like for the actual explosions and stuff, like it's actually quite cool. The colors and lighting and everything, again, it's just so nice to see. Oh, moving from here. Taking what could be quite dull looking and just making really visually appealing and exciting. But I think the level design helps with that too, because it doesn't feel repetitive or tedious, or like we're like, now I'm walking around with this like negative feeling towards the location because the level's boring. And I think that helps keep the sort of fun and engagement and excitement levels up. I don't think the shotgun's gonna be very effective. Wait, oh yeah, ouch! Okay, well, thank you, railing. Shotgun feels damn good. Oh, I guess he had a grenade. The first time we actually kill someone with a grenade and something explodes at their feet. Oh, there. Wait, no. Oh. Okay. The red dot's not like in the middle of this room, is it? Yet again, I'm like used. Arm the warhead. Like it's not really clear. That's what. Wait, okay, so enter the secret room in the missile silo. That I guess would be here, wouldn't it? So like I didn't go across to the other side there, right? Definitely a bit spatially confused here. Oh, I got that. Actually, you might as well use the sniper rifle too. You can clearly go inside that room. There's armor and something there. Like a pickup there. But I'm not sure if I'm maybe supposed to get there from the other side. It didn't feel like I missed something in terms of like where I can go. And it doesn't generally feel like that's something you even can do. Like the game, most of the levels aren't really laid out that way. They're pretty simple. Now I'm like wondering, especially with the objective marker, but because of the zoom level and how the map is laid out, like it's hard to understand. No, but it kind of, yeah, it's not at the edge of the screen. It's like on a walkway. Oh, what's up, Mudo-sama? That probably wasn't, like the game kind of lets you go where you're not supposed to go in a weird way. I can swing from there. Yeah, because I did swing down there, and then I kind of came back this way. But isn't that red dot just where I placed the bomb? Maybe I was too hasty in running... Yeah. Maybe I was too hasty in leaving, or I'm supposed to leave. And then once I'm actually out of here, it'll give me some other objective marker. Because it doesn't seem like I could... up there. Maybe that thing's like supposed to be lowered and I can go up there. I feel pretty confused. Because this would just wing me over to where I literally just were. That is not gonna help us. It exploded. Can't like, this door wouldn't open either. I can't find anything else to do in here, so I guess we'll go back. There's been plenty of levels where it's like this. You go back a little bit and there's now a doorway that's open that was previously closed, or dudes bust in through some other place, or I don't know.
Look alive, man.
I mean, that's probably a good sign. Okay, so it seems like this would connect me back to that same main room. Oh. Magnum. Now, not exactly what I wanted. Okay, we should have 7 round full. Probably haven't been here, so I think, wait, leads to a jetpack. I think we were here. Wait, how does this all connect? Or is this a different jetpack? I mean, no, that's, well, okay, that's where the thing crashed. Yeah. Definitely pretty confused. Alright, my jetpack health is fucking melting. I don't think I started with full. I probably started with whatever it was at. Like this. Oh, I can... Stuck. There's enemies here. I'm definitely going back, but that's correct. This could, like, you know, yeah, if we go across this. Whoa, hello. If I'm hitting him. I'm close to death here. Could bring us back to... Like, I suppose we are meant to get into the silo again, but from a different direction, so we get to those other places we didn't get to yet. Just my sense of direction. Struggle a bit with piecing together the spatial relationships, but alright. Now we're back here, and there was a door here that I never looked at. Over there. Grab some armor. This makes me think we did have to go and do all this, and now we just have to go do this. Also, whoa! Hello. Guy's pretty buff. That's not that room though, but this is sick. Oh, maybe it'll take us there. Pistol at least feels good to use, unlike some of the other games. But at this point, it certainly feels like it's pretty dang weak. Here we are, finally. I didn't mean to repel, but I probably was fine. Getting shot at, but up here. Ouch. Where's the button? There we go. Okay, we have some there. There we go, I missed doing that. There's the warhead thing. Let me just check. Maybe there's a secret room here. It seems like it could be. I target some kind of key lock thing. Probably do this. Well, for old time's sake. Doesn't exactly look explodable, but let's take a look around. Collect anything. Hey, like it worked. I'm also immediately realizing that's definitely how we should have tried to get into the pillbox. That would have been simpler. I forgot that the Q-copter existed. But hey, we got our little Bond moment here. Like, this is a fun little secret, and I don't mind being rewarded with a Bond moment badge for doing this. But since they reduced the amount of Bond moments to exactly 1 per level, having the supposed sort of, well, Bond moment be that, it's a little anticlimactic after how many cool moments there have been in some of the other games that had that kind of system, where they like made sure to put some kind of big stunt moment and everything. So yeah, definitely a bit just one of those things where, again, like without the context of other games, it's a fun little thing. But to be essentially a retread of a system that existed in not just Everything or Nothing for that matter, but pretty much every Bond game since Agent Under Fire, and have the Bond moment thing essentially be kind of refined and improved with every game, for this game to then have like such a step backwards in excitement levels for how the feature is implemented is, in my opinion, surprising as well as disappointing. Not out of the woods. Yeah, he's gonna toss it. You can't really lock onto them when they're like out of range or behind cover. So normally if they're like around, if you can lock on, you can easily, you know, you get the reticle color so you can tell if they're dead or not. Sometimes it's easy to get confused between an enemy being dead and just like hidden.
Bond to M. I'm on my way out. The missile is disabled. The base is rigged to blow.
Not so fast.
All right, okay, he just lived through being stun locked.
Should have made sure I was dead.
This time I will.
Fair enough. All right, okay, I wasn't expecting that,
You
but
cannot hide from me.
ouch! I'm trying to roll a different direction. That didn't quite work out. That sounds bad. Cool though. Armor piercing rounds, maybe? Whoa! Whoops! I should have. Ah, fucking 7 o'clock laser beam. All right, that's it for the ammo there. As soon as the train fight scene, well, I mean that did happen, albeit in cutscene form. Good. Go through. Yeah, mission failed. I figured. But I think this game seems to be pretty okay with checkpoints. I reckon we might just start the fight. Full health and everything.
You cannot hide from me.
Looks like a pretty good hiding spot.
Many ways to kill you. Let me show you my favorite.
You like the added stuff that wasn't in the film? I mean, I think it's well done and in the spirit of what they're obviously going for. it changes the tone pretty dramatically from what the film is, but it's all like, fun stuff. Oh, I guess this. I guess that going close, like you.
You will not leave this room, Mr. Bond.
Shotgun for one thing. Well, let's. I think this is a rifle, so I think it should be kind of effective at range. Targeting. Whoa. Okay, let's stay back here. I just find it amusing that it changes the tone very dramatically, and I think it would be kind of. Oh, I am hitting him. He's taking damage. I wasn't even sure. I didn't realize I could walk onto him even. I feel like they kind of might as well have just made an original story starring Sean Connery with this sort of 60s setting. Kind of feels like that's what they did anyway, but it's fun. Like burning through all my ammo here. That note in well, when we're gonna get a better use for this. Not even doing like the DPS on this seems like it's not notably better than the PPK. Because just like the reload speed and everything. Ouch. I can just hide here is a little bit silly, but I kind of, again, like there's a layer of convenience to it that I really don't mind. There's a handful of boss fights in this game that are all like cool in terms of what's going on, and like the characters are so fun and charismatic. Even what's her name, Eva, sexy henchwoman. You know, doesn't get a ton of screen time or character arc, but they're all like well done, but they're kind of undermined by the
shoot me in cold blood, old man.
Simplicity of them.
Have the guts. It's not the English way. It's like red wine with fish.
That was for Kerry.
Like just adding all of this, I don't know. Like I said, it kind of makes me laugh, but it feels,
James,
outside the context of
I hope you don't.
considering an adaptation of the film. It's like perfectly in spirit with just the general idea of Bond, and in that sense, it's wonderful. The end, I guess. That was a fun level, though. I liked it. We have 2 boss fights. It really was missing dudes screaming while falling into chasms, I think for sure that was a missing element. But it was fun and not tedious or annoying, and we had a little surprise boss fight at the end. That was cool. There could be an actual ending sequence, or like we haven't seen credits or anything yet, so let's see what happens after this. Nope, just mission select. That's a little weird. Okay. That was the final level. They have the bonus levels. Yeah, Ruins Plaza Airport. Surely maybe we have to go. I'm trying to find credits. Maybe we can find them in the options if we back out of this. So let's save and exit. I don't want to stop the timer just yet. Go to options. Oh yeah, we can play the Need for Speed Most Wanted demo, but let's skip that. James Bond will return. They put that in the game. But I think we can feel okay about stopping the timer there. I don't think this is the only game where I've had this, but it really bothers me when the game ends like this. I'm not talking about the cutscene or the boss fight, but just like being plunked back in the menu without like confirmation that we finished the game. There's no the end, there's no like credits, there's no, you know, summary. It feels very like you know, sort of jarring and strange. And whenever stuff like that happens, it's surprising to me that like it feels like such an odd oversight for an otherwise very polished and well done experience. That they just seemingly didn't like think of what will the player's experience be upon completing the game. It's just like beating any other level. Even the fact that you have the full list of levels from the beginning, like not even talking about like the sense of you know, spoilers or learning ahead of time what's coming up, but just like seeing the whole list there, robbing you a little bit of the idea of this sense of progression and moving forward and completing stuff. It's just sort of there. You're just sort of checking off the list, and yeah, you have to do the levels in order, but once we have done them in order, we just sort of it's more that you unlock access to them in order, and we now have access to every main level, not all the bonus levels just yet, and now it's a matter of just going back and grinding for award points by replaying on a higher difficulty level and getting more of those awards if you want to get the other stages. And there's presumably not any particular reward for doing that other than getting those last award points and getting the completion percentage up. So for me, like having the game end like this, I feel like it takes like a lot of the wind out of the sails of the experience. Like it just ends a little bit on a whimper. Like right up until the end cutscene, the shot of them in the hotel room. Up through that, it was great. But going from that to a level select screen and being like, wait, are we done? Like just not feeling sure. Like that's a terrible, weird feeling to leave the player on, which I don't like at all. But that aside, I think my biggest, you know, complaint, if we can call it that, with this game is that it, on multiple levels, frankly, failed to live up to the very lofty heights of, you know, the expectations set by Everything or Nothing. I think it's cool to see, like, I do think the aiming system, the lock-on and aiming was improved. I liked how they evolved that in this game. I think the jetpack stuff surprisingly was really fun. I was expecting the jetpack stuff to be like obnoxious. And I think I was kind of basing that on flight controls, whether it's like a Q-copter remote control thing or an actual helicopter thing, which actually I think Everything or Nothing had helicopter levels also. It's, you know, often a little bit awkward. I mean, hell, even driving a car or a boat or whatever, like it's rare for a game like this, an action game, to have vehicular segments and those feel as polished or well controlled as the more general on foot type stuff. But the jetpack stuff was genuinely fun. It was not a problem at all. It was like a good addition to the formula. I like the addition of the jetpack stuff. I did not particularly care for the addition of the turret stuff. But certainly we've had worse implementations of that kind of stuff, you know, on account of having more punishing or awkward pacing and structure of turret levels in certain other games. Featured voices: James Bond, Sir Sean Connery, Elizabeth Stark. Well, I guess it's the lady who we rescued in the first level. Yeah, Natasha Bedingfield, I remember them. Eva Adara, again, it's like pretty high billing here. That's pretty funny. Moneypenny and Kleb are the same voice. Additional voices by Steve Bloom, of course. I think the voice work was good. Like, it's funny how Sean Connery is sort of certainly not the worst actor in the game, or like the worst voice performance, but there's obviously the whole element of him having aged 40 years, so you can very clearly tell that from the voice. But I think the fact that the whole game is a little tongue-in-cheek helps make that also far less of an issue than it could be otherwise. You're not going to take the dramatic performances of the characters super duper seriously. So it didn't bother me, but it's like the first couple of times you hear him speak, there's certainly a bit of a disconnect between the way he looks and the way he sounds. And because everyone else is, you know, a presumably professional voice actor who, you know, are kind of doing an impression of whatever the actor sounded like in the original film, you don't have that particular problem. And I think the voice performances all across the board were fine, were good. Which makes, you know, Bond himself having the issue with the age discrepancy just stick out a little bit. But not to the point where I think it was a bad choice, or, you know, obviously having the ability to get Sean Connery do voiceover for your game, I mean, anybody would be excited about that. Even if I did think that it was the wrong choice, which I don't really do, but even if I did, I would certainly not fault them for going that way. It's pretty cool. Like, it's cool that this exists. And I think it's cool that this exists on account of just the idea of being an old Bond film adaptation, because I don't think we'll ever get that again. Like, the kind of game that this is, or even the kind of game you could do, like, I think we're just past the point of the Bond property being something that would be licensed to a scale of game where it would make sense to make an adaptation of a film that way. I suppose it's possible that someone will want to do a GoldenEye adaptation because of just GoldenEye's particular specific relationship to games. But it's hard to imagine, you know, something. I mean, I was gonna say something like this. It wouldn't even have to be something like this in terms of what the game is, but even the idea of like, let's digitally recreate, you know, Pierce Brosnan or Roger Moore or whoever. I think this was just a perfect sort of product of its time for that to happen. And it's cool that it did. I mean, I could certainly see, you know, we've got IOI's thing coming out, which I'm super excited for, and I really hope we see something from that game soon. Who knows? Maybe it could be at the Game Awards. I would be very excited if that's the case. And that's going to be its own sort of continuity, its own version of Bond, which I think the idea is, are the credits going to just loop? Nope. That's always weird when the credits loop too, in my opinion. I forget if they've said, but I want to say that they've implied that the new Bond game will have kind of a younger, you know, inexperienced early days Bond. I think they recently mentioned something about like wanting to do their own trilogy of games and what have you, with some kind of, you know, cohesive story arc and whatever. It's going to be their own thing. that's separate from whatever movies come out, etc. And I think that's fine, and that's a good choice. I guess they haven't said, but I would not expect the universe of IOI's Bond to be like a period thing. If that turns out that that's what they're doing, that it's all like 60s, you know, technology with a little bit of sci-fi, of course, twist, or, you know, Bond thing with the Q gadgets and everything, I think that would be awesome. That would be super sick. But that's not what I'm expecting them to do. In any case, I would not expect there to be other Bond games coming out alongside any of that stuff either, setting aside phone games and what have you. But whenever that is done, like in the future, at some point or another, I mean, even with the films, I wouldn't be shocked if at some point or another, like, I don't think that's what we're doing next, but maybe to kind of freshen things up and change the pace, they would go the road of doing like a 60s period piece. And I could see that happening for games, and maybe they could finagle a way to get the rights to use Sean Connery's likeness for that, for like an original story. But I find that more believable than any actual existing film getting a I was gonna say posthumous, that's not maybe the right word for it, but an after the fact kind of adaptation like this. So in that sense, I'm very happy that this exists. Of course, it's not the only one. We got the Goldfinger adventure game in the 80s, and the Live and Let Die boat action game for the Amiga and other computers. But obviously, the fidelity of the recreation of said film doesn't really compare to this. We're gonna do some spreadsheeting soon enough, but we have some other stuff in the game itself to explore. We have some extras. We have at least one bonus level. Why don't we take a look at that? It's not going to be particularly exciting, but I guess we'll do it while we're kind of in the gameplay mode, before we head on over to videos and spreadsheets. So let's check it out. These levels don't really seem to have any story or anything. So, escape. Okay, we're in ruins. I don't recall being a thing. Reach the button. Like from the campaign. Even the layout here is very like arena. But I prefer that to going through cave tunnels, disarming bombs like the first bonus level. Oh, I see. I was like, where did that explosion come from? Oh my god. Locking on to someone you don't at all expect to lock onto is a little rough. Aiding, I see. Not going great. Oh my god. In the wall. And so is he, I guess. It's a bit fucked up. Well, I guess I could hit his head.
I'm going to shoot you down. I can't get a shot.
I'm like not getting any ammo. At least not for anything I have equipped. Take a look. G. I guess we just start with like 0 ammo for everything pretty much. So maybe ammo's gonna carry over between stages, but not these stages, or maybe because I beat the game, I didn't get any ammo coming into this. Fairly mysterious how this stuff all works. I guess there is a Bond moment for these levels too, right? Enter the secret room, yeah. Really, no expense spared for coming up with memorable secret obstacles. Pretty satisfying high rate of fire on this gun. for upgrading it. The barks are pretty fun. Yeah, this level does. I mean, even though I'm complaining a bit that I think the level design and the sort of mission structures aren't as exciting as Everything or Nothing, playing a level like this certainly highlights how iffy it could be if like the main levels in the game were like this. Good computer sounds. No ammo.
Stay alert.
Put him in the helmet. Sound design is nice. Like, a lot of the guns feel really good, and the sounds definitely contribute to that. Oh yeah, there's no mapping these levels too, which you kind of get used to. If only to just like get a sense of where the exits of a current room might be, stuff like that. Reminds me of Batman Dark Tomorrow, which a game where navigation is exceedingly difficult because of extremely strange camera angles and controls. But you have a little mini map. And in a very unusual move, the minimap in that game has this little trail that follows after you, which is actually extremely helpful in like navigation to figure out like which direction you were coming from and where you're going and like all that. And then for like the final level in the game, they disabled the minimap. That was like quite fluster when that happened. That looks like a button I'm supposed to be able to press, but this gun is probably not very good if you're like fighting individual enemies. Okay, he's my friend now, I guess. So that giant glowing switch was not interactable. Wasn't sure if I was just giant class. All right, this is pretty cool. Oh, okay. I lowered the whole thing, so now I can go out through this door. I see. Doesn't it feel really like I could have been doing things differently to conserve ammo? Seems like a terrible weapon. I was gonna say, I definitely picked up ammo. Yeah, because I have special ammo, but I can't equip the gun because I'm out of ammo. That's so strange. Like, the pistol was just inaccessible from the weapon wheel. But it turns out I had a bunch of special ammo. Kind of a neat idea, the whole like sort of shaping this level and going back and forth. Somewhat neat, but only somewhat, really. Ouch. Still pretty tanky. Oh, dude, my life got melted by Shotgun Man. That's not really who I was looking to target. Okay, that guy was dead. Maybe climb up there for... I don't think we're surviving this level, but that's okay. It is interesting that these levels are clearly a little bit more challenging. but they're not really fun. So I'm not overly concerned with actually completing them. I mean, in pursuit of getting 100% completion or whatever, they're not awful to play or anything. And they have a, you know, a chunky challenge and all that, but like in the context of how I'm playing this, it doesn't really interest me much. So I think we're done with playing. But let's take a look at what we can get for our 485,800 skill points. For 15,000 each, 25,000 can get some of these. So we should be able to afford all these, but not with too many points to spare, frankly. Let's take a look. All right, these are... But it looks like these are all just for each level, but they might have like characters and stuff in them too. Let's get this cheap one. See. Oh, it's like a slideshow video. Interesting. Certainly a way to do it. This is the opening level of the game, where the Spectre goons explode half of London, and you yeah, that's kind of cool, like the route through the level. Okay, we do get some character artwork. And you jetpack around Big Ben fighting a helicopter, which I guess is also kind of a boss fight. Yeah, you rescue the... Oh, that's pretty cool. This shot, like when he flies through the crashing helicopter to grab her, that was pretty sick. Yeah, that was cool. We'll take a look at these things too, but I want to make sure that we don't miss out on the media stuff. Although I guess the level... He's exciting. I don't know. Let's look at the Q-Lab trailer. This is multiplayer. I didn't even look. I guess that would make sense.
Good morning, 007.
Oh, good morning, Q. How have you been? Busy inventing things?
Not as busy as you've been destroying them. Follow me, 007, and try not to break anything.
This is an awesome level. Like the whole, I mean, this part's silly, but, which isn't a bad thing. But like going through, like meeting M and Moneypenny, and then going down to the Q Lab, like that, man, that was sick. I guess we can watch the London trailer after having just seen the concept art montage. You actually are wearing the dinner jacket for this level, yeah. It's interesting that he was wearing the gray suit early on there. This is cool, man. I'm surprised with the costume stuff. Like, I'm sure there's probably outfits we, like, I don't think we maybe have every single one. There's a few, like, secret rooms that we missed, and one or two of them may have, you know, contained a costume, because that happened earlier in the game. There's one level where you have to disguise yourself as a Russian soldier, which, now that I think of it, I guess I didn't keep that outfit, because it didn't seem like I was able to... When I was, you know, changing costumes for the fun of it right now, I don't remember seeing that as an option, so maybe that disappeared. Maybe you only have that for that level. But yeah, otherwise, like, you find, you know, we got the snowsuit, and that seemed like an appropriate time to just wear it, but the game doesn't actually swap your outfits as part of the story. Like, every level, you just start in the gray suit. I think it would have been a nice touch to actually incorporate the fact that you have, like, different outfits. Even if you can just, as a player, swap to whichever one you feel like, having more suits that were specific to the different levels, I think would have been a cool touch. Yeah, this is like the opening scene. I think these are going to be like the least interesting, so that's why we're going with these first. multiplayer. I think we watched this actually before we played the game. But it's still interesting to see here now. Power-ups. Do the frame rate, the jetpack stuff. This is kind of crazy that it's got like jetpacks and cars and shit. 4-player split screen. Really curious how multiplayer, like with the lock-on stuff, that makes perfect sense and it works wonderfully in a single-player game. Can't help wonder what that means for multiplayer, like competitive play. I can't imagine the multiplayer being like too noteworthy of a feature in this game, really. Behind the scenes look at the making of the game, spotlighting Sean Connery. Let's take a look. Let's hear what Sir Sean Connery has to say about being in a video game.
I think the idea of returning to the original 1960s Bond series was something that the team had talked about for a long time. The fans talked about, that we kept hearing people wanting to see. But it really came together this year when we were able to contact and talk to Sean Connery, and he agreed to be a part of it. I mean, once you get him on board and he's helping you out, I mean, that's the start of a great game.
I'm absolutely thrilled to be playing James Bond again.
May I help you?
A dry martini. Shaken, not stirred.
Having Connery in the game has affected the game's design in the fighting style. He was more of a brawler. You know, he grabbed the characters and threw them to the ground.
It'll be interesting to go back to the physicality of one-on-one.
We've also used the way that he held the gun and, of course, what he wore.
Which subconsciously tells you so much about a movie whenever you see it.
In the game, we spent a lot of time making sure the characters came to life. Of course, it goes without saying that special attention was paid to getting Sean Connery just right. It's one of the best-looking digital characters you're going to find in a video game today.
The eye, good.
Characters do look wonderful.
Mouse is good.
They did a really good job.
This looks better than the original. Oh, I'm madly in love with him.
There's a real excitement to going back to the roots of James Bond, going back to the early 60s. We're doing something that people thought they would never see, bringing back the original James Bond, Sean Connery. He hasn't been in a video game before.
This is my debut.
And it's the first time in years that he's played James Bond again.
I don't think it's dated at all. To go back to the 60s, this will be something almost like starting all over again.
What does that mean? Whatever. It's cool. He's not wrong. But, alright, sure. Behind the scenes look at the making of the game, spotlighting the Bond girls. How much you want to bet they're gonna focus a little bit more on the new Bond girls than the, you know, the woman who's actually in the film? Well, let's find out. Everyone's favorite Bond girl, Sean Connery. The new Bond girls, yeah. Now they let us know.
Are the two new Bond girls. The first is played by British recording star Natasha Bedingfield, fresh off her 2004 platinum debut album Unwritten, which included 2 #1 singles.
The character that I'm playing is Elizabeth Stark. She's the Prime Minister's daughter. She's just in a party, socializing, and then she gets kidnapped. And of course I need someone to save me, so Bond jumps to the rescue. It's great because I get to do all these really funny sound effects where I'm like, help, help, save me, put me down, you stupid man. My daddy's a very powerful man, you know, you can't just go around doing this.
Be in the game for all of
I kind of
2 minutes.
acted it up a bit and really played on the English accent because the Prime Minister's daughter must, of course, have a very English accent. She's got to be proper. She's a lady, young lady. I think what appealed to me about being involved in the game was it was the whole Bond thing. James Bond is just sexy, especially the Sean Connery original. I don't know what it is, but I just know that every man since watching that just wants to be like that, and every woman wants a man like that.
The second Bond girl is played by actress Maria Menounos. She's done everything from One Tree Hill to the new Fantastic Four movie, and has just been announced as a
This is
special
my
correspondent
marketing
for
voice.
Access Hollywood and the
So
Today
funny.
It's my first video game, and I was a little nervous, but when I heard about the Bond video game, I was like, of course I'll be a part of it. And then Sean Connery, I mean, all these things just started jumping out at me. Sean Connery, be a Bond girl and play this cool, crazy, intense character. Yeah, I think I'll do it. My character's name is Eva. I play Red Grant's assistant or henchwoman, so I'm basically on his team to take down Bond. Playing
That part was sick.
Fun. That was like the best part, is to get really angry and really...
All units, we have to stop Bond!
I already think I'm tough, and I already know I'm tough, so I didn't need the costume, but it definitely helps.
The whole process of all the dots on the face and the animation, and it's a whole different world than playing yourself, physically yourself. We did a lot of facial recognition. We just kind of moved the face around and smiled big and frowned and did things like that so that they had that to work with. I had to pretend I was getting beat up by Bond, so it was like, oh! It's very exciting to be a Bond girl. It's something that's become so big, such a coup. Like if you get to be the next Bond girl, it's like, oh my goodness. I mean, a few people that I've told already that I was going to be a part of this video game would be a Bond girl, and that Sean Connery would be doing the voice. They were just blown away.
All right, that was pretty fun. It is pretty funny that there's not either of them in that picture though. Movie to game, a behind-the-scenes look at the making of the game, spotlighting game development. All right, let's learn about game development. Dude, remember when games put this shit in as extras? Man, I miss that shit so much. It's easy to make fun of some of the goofy aspects of how it's presented, but it's still fucking awesome.
I like the idea of the story.
In From Russia with Love, a beautiful Russian agent named Tatiana has a Russian decoding machine called the Lector, and she's going to hand it over to James Bond.
And it sounds like a trap.
Well, obviously it's a trap. And the bait is a cipher machine, a brand new Lector.
Lector, no less. The CIA's been after one of those for years.
Yes, so have we.
In building From Russia with Love, it was really important that we faithfully recreated the environments, the action sequences, and the characters that made this movie so great. Everything from the hedge maze to the Orient Express.
There's a gypsy camp. One goes out to Turkey, to Istanbul, which is a kind of satellite base for the Russians.
And all the great characters like Tatiana, Kerim Bey, of course, as well as M and Moneypenny and Q. Actually, From Russia with Love marks the first appearance of Desmond Llewellyn as Q. He would go on to play this role in 16 more Bond films.
Follow me, 007, and try not to break anything.
Working against Bond, we have Rosa Klebb, and one of the classic Bond villains in Robert Shaw's Red Grant.
My orders are to kill you and deliver the Lector. How I do it's my business.
His character, oh yeah, it's marvelous. Very, very well drawn, and formidable presence, and he was physically very strong.
The game follows the movie very closely. It's a great story, it's a classic story.
I mean, that's up for debate, I think.
At the same time, we wanted to expand on the world of the film, to give something new to the players, a director's cut, if you will. The challenge in creating this new material was to stay true to the authentic 60s feel of the Connery Bond films. And it's all about the details, the sense of style, the costuming, the vehicles, the weapons, the music.
I'm very interested to see what the end result is. Obviously, I'm hoping it's going to be as successful as the movie was.
I mean, I guess to be fair, it is faithful. Like, it's not departing, like it's adding a bunch of stuff and it's changing details, but the broad strokes of the plot and the characters, and like, it's all there. So it's, I guess it's not wrong or unfair to say that it does follow the movie very closely. It's just that it follows the movie very closely for bits and pieces here and there. Like, as far as the entirety of the game, it's you know, a good 20-30% of it follows the movie very closely, and then the other 70% is something very different. But it's fun and it's cool, and I think they did do a really good job of, you know, they didn't flesh it out in a way that felt faithful to this particular movie necessarily, but it certainly fleshes things out in a way that feels very faithful to the idea of Bond, and especially like the 60s flavored, you know, the secret base at the end and everything. Like, it's all, you know, it's fun and it's good, and it's kind of what you want from a James Bond video game, you know, an action game like this. Again, I just keep coming back to the juxtaposition of like the tone of the film and all this stuff. So there's much stuff here. I guess we'll check this out. Gonna be some good concept drawings here, especially if there's like cool boss fight shit. I'm always just like way more into the character art than the environment stuff. So I'm always just like hoping to get a glimpse of cool drawings of character designs that might have not ended up being used and have you. Like, I'm not sure if it was an early version of Eva or whatever, but we saw in one of the other videos we just saw, like, a lady wearing some kind of jumpsuit with like the octopus logo. Like, that looked cool. I wouldn't see more of that. Could have used this to help explain where the fuck I was supposed to go. Overly exciting. Oh yeah, the secret gift shop we have to swing from the ceiling to get into from the little ceiling hatch. Oh yeah, this is where the shield guys first show up. And then we have the dramatic shootout with Red at the end of the level. It's pretty funny where he just shows back up at the end. It's like, alright, cool, sure, why not? This one we had like the stealth. Section that we kind of like accidentally did really well. Have to protect Karambe with sniper coverage while he's like fighting his way through bad guys' building. And then you snipe, what's his name? Kurlenko at the end. I mean, I think they did a pretty good job of like obviously extrapolating a lot and kind of trying to build a video game level that sort of captures the idea and the broad strokes of the plot and what's happening close enough that you can use some of the dialogue and scenes sort of verbatim to bookend like the whole sequence. Even if if you were to imagine the scene playing out this way in the film, like, it gets pretty funny. Character available. So I reckon either of these were all available from the beginning, or we unlocked them by progressing through the game. But I don't recall seeing any like indication that they were unlocked. So I reckon these characters are just available in multiplayer from the beginning. Kronstein, international chess champion and octopus. Soviet soldier, thug, octo gunman, octo bazooka. Layla? Was this character in the game? The Lovejoy. Uses her background as English gentry to cover her true life as a criminal mercenary. I'm very unsure if any of these characters were in the film or game. Dude, I can't wait to play as Soviet Radio in multiplayer. Obviously, the character models exist, so, you know, let people use them in multiplayer. Sure, why not? But as characters, like, it's a pretty tough sell to make them seem as, like, appealing or cool as, like, the actual named characters with real character designs. A low-level worker in the organization that deals more with crates than enemy agents. Oh, hell yeah, I want to play as this guy. Yeah, here we got 40k. Octopus agent working closely with the Red Grant to take down James Bond. All right, here we go. We got the guest characters here. Goldfinger, Dr. No. Okay, never mind. The list was shorter than I expected. We didn't have a long list of like Bond villains. It's pretty funny though. They brought in these two. I guess they're like the adjacent ones, you know. Dr. No was the film before this, and Goldfinger was the film after this. They didn't want to go too anachronistic with these guys, I suppose. I mean, geez, maybe a little bit. Sure, let's get the all-stars here. I do kind of wish we had like a model viewer so we could like look at the character models. That's always a fun thing in a game. Kind of. Wish I have that kind of stuff. Alright, let's get these characters. I'm never gonna see or use, I suppose, but whatever. Well, I think we're pretty much done with the game. This was very fun. I enjoyed this a great deal. But before we completely move on, we of course have to do a little bit of spreadsheet management. And we will beam down. Very much for your service. Yep. We can get some games in the background. Okay, bear with me for a moment as I prepare the spreadsheet. Do I have it? This there. There we go. Let me interact here in OBS. So zoom in a little bit, make this a little easier to read. That's enough. Mission 34, 007 From Russia with Love from 2005. Window so I can actually hear. Has been completed. Was completed in 6 hours, 51 minutes. Correct character there. 17 seconds. We finished this on the 11th of November. Completed the game on agent difficulty. That means we will mark this as green. Unbold this, and we can move one step down. Low and bold and change. What is coming up next, you might be asking? Well, it is Silverfin. We return to mobile. We did, of course, have a slight excursion with Ice Racer and the unfortunately unemulated Hover Chase. And I haven't done a lot of research, so for all I know, some of these other games might also not be fully playable. Hopefully, we can play them properly, but we'll get to them, get through them to the best of our ability. And as you can see, we've got a whole slew of them coming up. Silverfin, Casino Royale, James Bond Trivia, and James Bond Top Agent. Casino Royale, of course, being a film-based game, means that we ought to watch the film before we get to that. So I suppose that is also coming up soon-ish. And quite frankly, with these J2ME games, I don't really know how long they might be. Like, some of them could be the kind of thing you literally finish in 30 minutes. Some of them might be impossible. Like, broadly speaking, I don't expect any of these games to be the kind of game where we take, you know, a whole stream, let alone multiple streams, to sort of fully investigate them. Which means that we might want to make sure to have seen Casino Royale before we even get to Silverfin, just in case Silverfin is done in like an hour and we would want to start on Casino Royale the same stream. So we'll see. We were not going to hop into Silverfin immediately after this regardless, because as I mentioned at the top of the stream, I'm eager to participate in Gamer of the Year 2024, which is an event currently ongoing, organized by Lord Godi, for the duration of the month of November. So I probably want to spend, you know, probably a few streams doing stuff for that, and I want to get to that while I can. So we'll take a slight detour from more Bond action with that stuff. And maybe in parallel with that, we will find an opportunity to watch Casino Royale. But yeah, you know, there's 15 games left, and a whole chunk of these are mobile games, which may be pretty quick. And we have some DS games. Now, make no mistake, it's probably going to take us a few months to get through these. But, I mean, we've done 34 games. And I guess there's 16 games left. Plus bonus missions that may get added. We have, of course, Seen It 007 edition. And when that gets unlocked. I guess I didn't fill this in. So plenty more Bond action to go. But yeah, so Silverfin, if you're not familiar, which I expect no one to be, Silverfin is a game that is, I don't know if it's fair to say that it's based on, or at least part of some kind of cross-media thing that were comics and I think novels about a young James Bond in boarding school. And this is apparently a game based on that. So it's gonna be pretty different, I imagine. And I'm very excited to see what it's like, see what it's all about. I'm imagining some kind of mobile phone version of School Days, except you play as James Bond. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up feeling more like James Bond Jr. than either of the actual James Bond Jr. games. Up, damn Baines, dropping the hot puns. Bruce Lee's faster brother, suddenly. Anyway, that's our preview for kind of what's coming up next on Games Bond. As mentioned, there will be some other stuff in between, but I'm looking forward to, like, the J2ME stuff is such an unknown for me as well. Like, it's always exciting. However, we're not done yet. Also have to fill in some details about the Bond quotient. This is, of course, my highly scientific method to calculate a value which will help determine the most James Bond video game of all James Bond video games. Not the best game, but the most James Bond. And we do that by charting certain criteria and aspects of Bond films to see how many of them are present in each of these games. There's about 30 or 31 categories, or I think maybe 32. We had to add a character for not featuring Bond because Rogue Agent for the DS does not feature Bond at all. In the console Rogue Agent, James Bond does appear in the opening level. So he at least appears in the game. But in the DS one, he doesn't even appear in the game. And for each of these categories, if it is present, the game gets 1 point. If it is absent, you get 0 points. And if it's sort of kind of there, but not quite, in spirit, but not in letter, or vice versa, on a case-by-case basis, we might award a half point. So at the end here, you get a raw Bond quotient, as I call it, which is a value that is simply a sum of all these numbers. However, when we're done with all this, when we've played all the games and we've ranked all of them and rated all of them and filled in all this data completely, I will have done the same with all of the films to make sure that right now each of these things they're all worth the same amount of points. But I want to make sure that we properly respect the more or less prevalent aspects of the film, or the films. Meaning, if something is more present in films in general, you know, let's say the gun barrel sequence, if that is in every film, then the game should be rewarded for including it, or conversely punished more harshly for omitting it. Whereas if something is not really present in films, you know, if something is, you know, a lair, for example, I'm sure there's many Bond films that they don't really have a villainous lair in it. So if we imagine that this is only in half of the films, then a game should not be punished as harshly for not including it. So right now we can see in the broad strokes, you know, which games get the higher numbers here. But as we weigh these individual criteria based on how frequent they actually are in the films. I imagine the rating here is going to change quite a bit, but it's going to be very, very fun to put together this list in the end to get a full ranking of which Bond games are the most Bond. So let's input some data here and figure out, in terms of the raw Bond quotient, where does From Russia with Love end up? Oh yeah, I'll have to edit this. All right, so gunplay, yes, obviously there's a bunch of shooting. Actually, let me zoom in. Fisticuffs, sure, we have the melee combat, that counts. There's some cutscene fisticuffs with Red Grant and everything, that's pretty great. Gadgets, sure, we got the briefcase turret, the Q-copter, you know, a small but actually fairly effective, if not super interesting set of gadgets. We got the watch laser. Driving, car, yes. Multiple levels where you, as a player, drive cars, showing Bond driving cars and his driving skills, or my lack thereof, personally. The driving other, I'm a little less certain of, because multiple boats and boat sequences are featured, for instance, right? But Bond just mans the turret, so he never actually drives a boat. The jetpack, right, that's the other thing. I reckon the jetpack should probably count as like some form of vehicular, you know, we wouldn't, we shouldn't get hung up on the use of the word drive, you know. Obviously, if we had a motorbike, you would ride or even a bicycle, you know, you'd ride a bicycle, but that still counts as like something where his, like, it's worth at least a half point, but I'm trying to think. It's also possible that there's some stuff happening in a cutscene somewhere where, like, because here it's not necessarily a matter of whether you get to play it, it's more about whether the game depicts Bond's proficiency in, you know, driving cars, flying planes, etc. But at the very least, I mean, the jetpack is a cool, interesting thing, so it's worth, like, I guess the counter argument is you could imagine the jetpack counting as a gadget, you know. But I think between the jetpack stuff and how you interact with other stuff, the boat turret stuff, fighting against helicopters, like, the game goes to some pretty serious efforts to, like, have vehicles and vehicular action be part of the game. So we don't necessarily get to see him drive all kinds of different things, but I feel like it wouldn't be unfair to say the jetpack. Like, you can imagine the jetpack being something that not anyone can fly, but Bond is fucking James Bond, so he can just punch out a thug and steal his jetpack, and he just naturally knows how to fly it. So I think we can count that. I think that's fair. Car gadgets, not a lot, but we have the plunking whatever thing that pops out of the wheel, which is actually pretty fun to use. So that counts. We don't need a whole, you know, plethora of oil slicks and whatever. I mean, obviously you got chain guns and you know, lock-on missiles, which I suppose we could count too. So our gadget's definitely part of it. Charm/smarm. This is one that I've long felt has a bad name. I was struggling to come up with a good name for it. I remember when we played the interactive dossier thing, it had like there was some description, some term used to describe Sean Connery's performance or whatever, that I remember thinking like, oh man, that's such a good, I should replace the phrase, and I don't remember what it was. But generally, like, it's the idea of the game trying to capture the tone of James Bond's sort of personality, I suppose. And obviously this game definitely does that, but it doesn't necessarily have, like, in some cases it can be in narration or the tone of the presentation of the game. It's not necessarily strictly to do with Bond's like dialogue. But you know, you have Sean Connery's delivery, you have the way that the cutscenes are animated, you have the shitty puns and one-liners and stuff. So I mean, that's definitely all there. I have multiple scenes of well, dick powers, and we're coming to that eventually. Drinking, I suppose he's at the bar. He orders a martini in the opening scene, so that has to count. Stunts, I do think the game was like a little bit light on that. Like, there's not a lot of stuff like in the games preceding it. A lot of the time you would have Bond moments like you had to sort of aim for that were presented very dramatically with like slow motion camera angles for doing certain car jumps or swinging across something or whatever. But I think the game does a pretty questionable job of presenting them as marquee, like big time stunt moments. Like, there aren't really any things I can recall from the game that felt like, oh, here's a big flagship stunt. But certainly there are things like that. Had they been in a film, they would have been. Like, we saw the concept art there at the end of as I described, when you're like flying through the crashing, well, not you, but Bond in a cutscene flies through the crashing helicopter, grabbing the lady, which I suppose would just all be like special effects and whatever. Maybe not a big stunt, but like, there's stuff like that. We had the border driving level where you do several car jumps. It's just a jetpack, I guess, in Thunderball would be considered like a stunt thing. So, like, I feel the game itself doesn't highlight the spectacular nature of some of these things. In a way that I think is in line with how, like, the game doesn't feel like it's celebrating the awesomeness of Bond doing these stunts. And again, it's something that stands out because I think most of the previous games before it really did do that. So I feel like I want to give it a 0.5 for like having some of that stuff. Like, Bond does swing, you know, with his grappling hook a couple of times. He does jump across gaps with his car. He does fly a jetpack. But nothing, you know, really stands out as a memorable individual stunt. So I feel like this is actually a 0.5. I don't feel like it quite reaches the height of getting full marks for it. There's probably more bigger stunts in the game than there was in the film. But for everything they sort of embellished and added, there weren't really moments, like big cutscene moments or stuff. And I mean, I think this goes hand in hand with what they did to sort of tone down the concept of the Bond moment or the Bond moves mechanically. And it's like reflected. Because in Everything or Nothing, many of what you would describe as those big stunt moments were made Bond moments. And when you trigger them, you would tend to get some kind of cool little camera angle and stuff, and there's just like pretty much nothing like that in this game, unfortunately. Gambling. There were a few scenes of people sort of chilling and having conversations, but even in the opening thing where it goes to that bar, like, I don't recall there being any kind of cards played or anything like that, so I'm pretty sure gambling is a 0. I'm gonna leave it blank just to make sure to sort of double check. Like, that's one of those things that I want to, I leave gaps here and there when I'm like the slightest bit unsure, just to kind of review the footage at some point later to make sure that I didn't erroneously put a 0 when there should have been a 1 or a 0.5, but I'm pretty sure there was nothing there. Globetrotting, sure. It's a little unclear where some of the action is taking place. But we start in London, we got Big Ben and everything, and then you go to Istanbul and it's like quite scenic. You don't go to a ton of different locations, and they don't always showcase them in the most exotic way, but you know, you have this sort of volcanic lair, wherever that is. There was that snow level. You know, you get a decent variety in locales. you know, you have the Orient Express and sort of traveling through Europe. I think it's, you know, given the context of the film doesn't really, you know, ping pong between like 6 continents or anything. So they were a little bit bound by that, but they still very much, you know, have the aspect of globetrotting represented. You know, it makes sense for something like Everything or Nothing where they're writing an original plot. They can just, you know, not having to worry about budget and travel, they can just set stuff wherever in the world, and they couldn't really do that in the same way here. So given the limitations they had to work with, I think they, you know, stuff like adding the opening level being in London, you know, I think it counts. M briefing, yes, we had a fully interactive M briefing in which we got to walk around in Bernard Lee M's office, watching a slideshow and hearing him talk, including, you know, being let in to his office after talking to Moneypenny and everything. Like that whole thing. This is like the premier M briefing in Bond video games. You know, following the structure of the film, we have the one briefing at the beginning. We don't get like an M briefing at the start of every level or anything, but it's faithful to the film, and it's cool to get that sort of. You have the opening action stuff, the opening, you know, London level, and then after that the hedge maze, which is like the actual opening scene of the film, and then from there you have the whole MI6 sort of office level. That whole thing was awesome. That was really sick. Q briefing, yes. And part of what made the Q briefing sick is that it all takes place in Q Branch, and you have a full training montage and like these background gags with people in like protective cells trying out climbing gear and falling down stuff because it's, you know, they haven't worked out all the kinks yet. It did not have the folding couch that swallows people from Game Boy James Bond, which is like the peak Q Branch background gag in a game. But it was a very awesome section. So they kind of changed it from the film. Of course, Q just sort of shows up in M's office and he, you know, gives Bond a briefcase and talks about a few things. But they kind of expanded it, which is sick. We have Moneypenny appearing on screen with the likeness of Lois Maxwell, and Bond and Moneypenny, you know, flirting and interacting. It's like, I would say, the premier kind of Moneypenny representation in games. She's been in a few of them, but rarely has she been represented in a game in an accurate way to the films in general, and like being so prominent. Obviously she's only kind of in the one scene, but she gets like a cutscene moment and dialogue and stuff, and that's cool. That's really cool. She's not just like a portrait image with a, you know, a little bit of line of text like we saw in some games. Bond, James Bond, does not appear in the film, this line, but it does appear in the game. I am almost certain that they sort of shoehorned that in, because I vaguely recall me bringing attention to the fact that that line was not in the film when he said it in the game. But of course they wouldn't be able to resist putting that in, and I think that was the right call. It's the kind of thing where if they had stayed faithful to the film by not including the line, a lot of like fans and people playing the game who maybe hadn't watched the film recently would be like mad that they didn't include it. So I think that's fair. The Bond theme is featured, not super prevalent, but there was certainly a credit for it in the end credits, so it's in the game. And a lot of the kind of background music in the game incorporates the Bond theme, so it's in the game. The theme song gets kind of weird because in the opening credits of the game, there is a piece of music that is from the film score. The credits of the game calls this piece of music From Russia with Love, which I suppose it's entirely possible that that is what that piece is called. However, in the film, the opening credits place a piece of music that is not that piece of music, but it is an instrumental piece of music. But over the end credits, it plays a song with vocals that I believe have lyrics that include the line "From Russia with Love," which I don't know if that song is called from, like, it. The end credits theme is like more what you would associate with a typical Bond opening theme. Got Sean Connery, you must have him say the line. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point too. Like, if you get Sean Connery, are you gonna like tell him to not say Bond, James Bond? Of course not. But yeah, so the film has basically opening credits with music playing over them, and it has what I would call a theme song that plays over the end credits. Neither of these pieces of music are featured in the game, and certainly not over the opening credits or presented as though it was like a theme song. So the game does use music from the film, but it's like part of the score. It's like orchestral score music being played over the opening credits, sort of as though it is the game's sort of theme song, but it is not at all the kind of music you would feel sort of qualifies even as being described as a theme song. So to be clear, like, for this category, as far as the Bond quotient is calculated, it doesn't have to be a specific theme song from a film. And certainly, like, if you have a game like that is based on a, I think actually we kind of have an example of this where I'm looking at my screen here and I see License to Kill got a 0.5 for theme song, and I think it's because that game, I think that is the game that has a weird version of You Only Live Twice as the high score music. It's like a weird bootleg version that changes the melody a little bit, but it's still like that song. But it doesn't have the License to Kill theme song in it, but it has a theme song, essentially. And The Spy Who Loved Me is kind of weird because it has the... I think that Nobody Does It Better, is that the theme from that film? Which is like, it's weird, it's one of those themes that doesn't have the movie title as the title of the song. But it's only in like the Atari ST version of the game. It's not in the Amiga version or Commodore 64 versions, like it's or whatever. Like it's weird like that. It might have not been in that game, but in any case, obviously there's plenty of games that aren't based on a direct film where they kind of came up with their own theme song. Like Nightfire has its own theme, and Everything or Nothing, like they got Maya to record this, you know, full-on Bond theme song. And I suppose for this game it would have been, you know, perhaps a bit weird to get someone to record a new song, but I think ultimately, I think I don't feel comfortable giving it more than a 0.5 because they, you know, they got a piece of music from the film and everything, but it doesn't really, like, it's a weird one because it's based on a film that doesn't use a Bond theme song the way we're kind of used to, but it does have one, and that's not the song they got. So I'm gonna give it a 0.5. I think that's the reasonable conclusion there. It does, however, have a gun barrel sequence, and it's pretty funny because the gun barrel sequence in the film does not quite play out like the first. I think Goldfinger is the first one to have like the full gun barrel sequence with the blood dripping down and the thing like bouncing around, like the DVD screensaver transitioning into the opening shot. Dr. No doesn't have it, and From Russia with Love doesn't have that either. Like, it has the gun barrel, but it transitions into the film a little differently. But in the game, it does like the full-on traditional or the what would become the conventional thing. So whatever. But we're not measuring here how authentic it is to the film From Russia with Love. We're measuring whether it has a gun barrel sequence, and it most certainly does. It also most certainly does have an opening credit sequence, and it has a more conventional Bond film opening credits type sequence than the actual film does. So that should be rewarded. I mean, not for outdoing the film, but for not finding any excuse skimp. Excuse me. Product placement. We do have the Aston Martin. That certainly counts. I think that's pretty much it. I don't recall there being anything else, and there wasn't really a list of brands in the credits or anything. But the Aston Martin counts. Bond in Peril, I remember, is kind of a weird one because there's... I don't remember when it was. Was it maybe the train level? There was at one part in the game, there's like a cutscene where Bond is sort of overpowered and he's knocked out. But they didn't take that excuse to have like a sequence where he is then, you know, tied up, held hostage or locked up and then having to escape or something. And that's like, it's on the list because it's a very common thing, I feel like, a very typical thing to happen in a film. At some point or another, he is in peril. He is, you know, in a very sticky situation and he has to use his wits and or gadgets to get out of it. And I remember thinking like, I mean, it certainly happens in the film, right? Because in the train sequence, you know, Red has Bond kind of, you know, at gunpoint, and Bond has to cleverly maneuver Red into springing the booby trap on his MI6 suitcase to very temporarily gain an upper hand, so he can win the fight. Like, I think that super counts, but that isn't really shown in the game. The fight doesn't play out that way when we see it in the cutscene, and I don't remember specifically where it happened, the thing where he got sort of knocked out or whatever. But even though, as I recall, like, we do see Bond get knocked out, but we don't then see him wake up being in peril. Like, whatever situation he found himself there, he kind of gets out of immediately, and you're not even part of it. Like, it happens in the same cutscene. So I remember, like, kind of being a little surprised that, like, huh, it seems like they kind of not just missed an opportunity, but kind of like made... They set up this scene and then did not actually make something out of it. So they kind of went out of their way to not... Like, they created a scenario in which it would make perfect sense to have a scene where he is in peril, but then didn't have that scene. So that makes it even more almost... not egregious, but like it stands out that it wasn't like the opportunity didn't even present itself. Like, it did, but they didn't seize it. So I think that's a 0. Bond likeness, this is not going to be super important because obviously you can't really compare the films, but certainly we have Bond's face and even his voice, which is, you know, not the first or last time we've had Pierce Brosnan. Although Everything or Nothing, I think, was actually the first game where he did the voice. But I'm sure we're going to get some Daniel Craig at some point, so it's not unique. I don't necessarily feel like we need to measure that stuff either. But again, this is more for statistical purposes. It won't really matter in the end because we can't... It's a point where we simply cannot compare. There's no point of reference for the films. Because it's not like we have some films where Bond is played by an actor and some where he isn't. And ultimately, I don't think having a specific actor likeness is important at all to capturing the character of Bond, because he could be played by a different actor or whatever. However, since we started charting it, we might as well, just for the sake of thoroughness. Sexy ladies, yeah, they even added a couple that weren't in the film, so that's for sure a thing. Sexy ladies, comma, evil. Oh, well, they added one of those too. James Bond's dick powers have rarely been on display to quite the extent that they were in this film. Where James Bond basically uses his dick powers as leverage in negotiating a handover of the Lecter decoder with Tatiana. But certainly we see her, if not others, you know, uncontrollably throwing themselves in Bond's arms through his sheer masculine charisma. So I think that aspect of Bond's character is certainly represented in the game. Henchmen, sure. They kind of added, you know, Eva is kind of a henchwoman, right? I mean, in the context of the film, Red is a henchman. And briefing summarized, we need you for your dick powers. I mean, kind of. But it's not exactly that. We like in the film, Tatiana is instructed to, you know, do whatever he says, to kind of go along with him or whatever. They just sort of, because the plot is for her to give the device to him so that Red can take it from Bond. They need Bond to do the heavy lifting of getting the decoder device out of Istanbul. So there is a plot to kind of convince Bond to get very friendly with her and whatever. But then obviously she just falls for him anyway. So like the initial sort of, I think she's even like, I mean, the premise is like, oh yeah, she has agreed to defect and hand over this device on the condition that Bond personally comes pick her up. Which is what they're talking about, and like that's obviously a trap, but I mean, sure, but we might get a decoder device out of it, so it's worth it. But again, it doesn't really matter if it was a facade to begin with, because it very quickly is not. Anyway, so the henchman thing is interesting because in the film, Blofeld is kind of, you know, orchestrating stuff, and Red is an awesome antagonist, but he is essentially, like, he is the muscle, you know? He is a henchman. But in the context of the game, it's funny again, like, I don't know if, I mean, it's very possible, right, with the whole rights things. I would say almost certainly, given that they chose not to include him, Blofeld must have been part of the whole thing too, of like them not having the rights, so that's why he doesn't show up. He's like a very shadowy presence, like in the film, but he's there. But especially with the boss fight and everything, they sort of elevate Red to kind of villain status. Again, I don't really like the name for this category. I'm just called iconic villain. Like initially, I thought of this as like, does the game feature a classic Bond villain? Like does the game feature a villain from films? But I realized that doesn't really make sense for games that have their own plot, because they should be celebrated for having like an actual villain, as opposed to bringing back Jaws or Oddjob or Dr. No or Goldfinger or whatever. I think, in fairness, like we should, like the way, you know, Brandt's dialogue, he sort of carries himself as more of a main villain, and he's an awesome presence in the movie, and I think in the game he is pretty fun and cool, and the model looks great. Like they capture the intensity and look of the character from the film, and I think he does good like voice stuff too. Yeah, Kleb's there too, but even like still, when you think of Bond villain, if you think of like the main sort of antagonistic force who's sort of at the top of the food chain of whatever he's sort of dealing with, regardless of how it's actually presented in the game, like neither Kleb nor Grant, like in the plot of the film or game, is kind of in that position. But the fact that they expanded Red's role in a sense, and he comes back from the dead for a giant octopus robot boss fight in the end, like, I mean, I think it's fair to count that. He's certainly, like, again, if we were to imagine this being not, if we see it as its own thing, irrespective of the film's plot or the characters, Red is kind of the rare main antagonist that sort of shows up multiple times, and we have multiple run-ins with him and multiple fights. Like, by nature of being kind of the muscle in the film, he gets to be a little more present and proactive in directly physically dealing with Bond than we're used to seeing villains in these films. So it ends up being a little different because of that, but I think we ought to count it. I mean, there's multiple good villains. I mean, then we have Krylenko, who's also like henchman status, right? So there's like just a whole bunch of villains, basically. The Octopus Base is a wonderful villain lair. And there's even like the base stuff that we saw in the factory level. That's even, I feel like that counts as a lair. Arguably, there's even other stuff earlier in the game that is a little bit lair adjacent, so they didn't skimp on that. Villain speech, I don't know. Like, Red sort of talks at you and taunts you, but even in the train stuff, I feel like they didn't quite take the opportunity that they could have to sort of let the villain really savor sort of having Bond at gunpoint and getting to give him a speech. I feel like I want to leave this blank because I have to review the cutscenes to see if there's something that I think could qualify as a speech. I was also worried that during the first boss fight with Red that I kept shooting him, so maybe he would have been talking at me more to a point where it could qualify as a speech, but I shot him too much, so he didn't get to. There are dialogue scenes with the villain characters where Bond is not present, but that doesn't really count either, I think. But again, I'm on the fence. I'd have to double check. I don't think there's anything that really qualifies, but it's possible. So I don't want to put a 0, because if I put a 0 here, I'm not gonna remember to actually double check for it. So I'll leave it blank. But James Bond will return. Unfortunately, again, the way the credits were presented, we didn't really get to see that as part of the, like, the end, James Bond will return, boom. But, like, once we went to see the credits, the first thing in the credits, indeed, was the line, James Bond will return. So that made me happy. That was a great thing to include. This game certainly does not warrant any negative points for not including Bond. This had arguably the most Bond by having the voice and likeness of Sean Connery. So I think this is going to score pretty well. And as I said when we started playing it, and arguably even before, just having watched the movie, I feel like this game is likely going to score higher than the film, because there's so much other stuff with the jetpack and the lair and the octopus robot and the evil sexy lady and stuff that they added here. Even Bond the James Bond that wasn't in this particular film. Everything or Nothing scored a staggering 27. I don't think this is going to reach quite those heights, but possibly. I mean, it did a lot of stuff, and it had like the Moneypenny and whatever stuff that wasn't even in that game, I think. Or maybe she were, I don't remember. But let's see where we end up. 27, there you go. And if we find a qualifying villain speech, this could even go higher. I'm like a little surprised almost. Like, we had the stunt stuff being a little questionable, but yeah, because looking at it now here on my end, Everything or Nothing did in fact lose a 1 point for not having Moneypenny. And I didn't. I think villain speech. I added villain speech as a category in Rogue Agent because Rogue Agent actually had a really good villain speech at the end. That's why if we look at the spreadsheet here, like this column is just empty for most of it because I wasn't even tracking that until very recently. Now I think there are quite a, not that very many games that will actually have this. But GoldenEye, I think for sure there's some Trevelyan dialogue that I think we can count as a villainous speech. James Bond on the Game Boy almost certainly has some kind of villain speech. Even 007 Racing, I think, might have. Like, there's going to be a couple of games that will get a point for this later on when we double check this. James Bond will return. Might also be in a few more games before I thought to look for that. So there's some stuff like that where I'm gonna have to go back and fill in the blanks and change some points here. But for now, Everything or Nothing and From Russia with Love, dead even at 27 raw bond quotient. Not bad. We are running late. It is currently 10 p.m. and I need to wrap up. I had intended to end this by going back to the tier list and updating it. The way I have stuff set up for capture and everything, I don't really have that on hand, and I don't want to mess with setting that up when I should be ending the stream. So we'll get to that soon enough. But I'll say, because my plan moving forward is to rank each game as we complete it, so we don't end up in the situation that we were in most recently, where I have to put something on a tier list that I played 4 months ago and I don't remember the details. I think it's easy to say that I didn't like this game as much as Everything or Nothing, but I like it better than almost every other game that we've played. I think for me, it's for sure a like on the fence on whether it's an S tier or A tier game. It's absolutely no lower than A tier. I think the level design and variety was like just not as fun or exciting or surprising as some of the other top rated games. And I think that drags the game down a little bit. I think the lack of bond moment stuff, which is a lot of fun, like the scoring stuff, there's just stuff like that I think it doesn't quite, not only does it not quite live up to the precedent set by Everything or Nothing, but Everything or Nothing itself was also the kind of culmination of a couple of games that had come before it. And this game marks a change in trajectory where things had kind of steadily been improving. This game sort of dips, which is a little unfortunate. Still a great game, an easy recommend, a fun, smooth playthrough. Easily one of the most fun and easily recommendable Bond games. So I reckon it's probably going to end up in S tier. But we're going to have to get a little more scientific and look at that in more detail at a future time. But we're done with this game. Games Bond will return, but not immediately. As I mentioned, I want to do some Gamer of the Year stuff on Wednesday stream, and I would probably like to do more than just one stream of that. I don't know that it's going to be like a focus for the rest of November or anything, but probably a couple of streams at least of checking out some fun challenges for that. Other plans, I think we're just going to have to kind of wait and see. So that's it for me tonight. But before I say goodbye and good night to all of you, I'm going to try to find someone who is streaming that we can raid. And of course, there's a lot of people live. Let's see who will be an appropriate raid target. Ash Said Hi is playing Metal Slug Tactics on the GOG channel. I think that's a game that might interest some of you. I've been playing it a little bit here and there. It's on Game Pass. Pretty cool, but it's pretty time consuming. So I haven't been able to get super far into it just yet. Ash is a cool streamer, of course. GOG channel's interesting. They have a bunch of streamers on there doing all kinds of stuff. Several friends of the channel who stream there every now and then. So go check it out. Thank you very much for hanging out with me tonight, and I'll see you guys for more video games on Wednesday. Till then, have a nice Monday, Tuesday, etc. Take care, and I'll see you guys then. Thank you once again for watching. Goodbye.